strategy. We'll be hearing from the mobile operator helping Ukrainians stay connected. And we'll be looking ahead to the start of the new tax year. Good morning, this is Ian King Live, an hour of business and economic news from the heart of the city. Well, inflation was already becoming a problem even before Vladimir Putin attacked Ukraine. The latest rate for consumer price inflation here in the UK, the February number, is 6.2%. But in the Eurozone, we learned on Friday it hit 7.5% in March, which is the highest since the single currency was created. Well, joining me now is Bert Collin. He's a senior Eurozone economist at ING. Bert, very good morning to you. I mean, this is only the average. In the Netherlands, where you are, it's actually in double digits.
That's right. I should actually be wearing a sweater, but I thought for you I would take it off just to look a little nicer.
I mean, the point is, you think things are going to get worse before they get better.
Well, it does look like it. I mean, the war is having an effect on a few spending categories that are likely to lengthen the period in which we have high inflation from here on. Think, for example, of the energy independence promises that EU leaders have been making to make sure that they become less dependent on Russia as an energy provider. But also think of the supply chain problems that we're seeing pop up again due to disruptions that are caused, of course, by the problems that we see in delivering from Ukraine, from Russia, but also because of COVID peaking again in China, causing further lockdown. So we see that a few categories of spending are likely to see higher input costs, and that means that we can probably see inflation remain elevated for quite some time in Europe.
Yes, this China lockdown situation is actually quite serious. I mean, it's not on everyone's radar because of Ukraine, isn't it? But it is potentially very serious.
That's absolutely right. I mean, we're very preoccupied, obviously, with everything that's already happening on our continent. But when we look at how China is currently combating the Omicron variant of the coronavirus, then we see that their zero COVID policies are once again causing disruptions in the supply chain, especially in transportation of containers back to Europe. And that's likely to spread out the period in which we experience disruption from transportation problems.
Now, obviously, talk is in the air again of a complete ban on Russian gas imports into the Eurozone. Is it possible to model at all what impact that would have on inflation?
Oh, that's very difficult. And I mean, since everything is so path dependent on how this war is developing, because energy prices are such an important driver of inflation at the moment, it makes it very difficult. And you can easily see very wide ranging outcomes of inflation in the coming months. Any sort of blanket ban is likely to obviously have in the short run an impact on prices through another spike that we're likely going to see in natural gas prices. So that would immediately have an impact on inflation that could potentially even see it run up into double digits for the Eurozone.
What about earnings growth, Bert? I mean, the unions presumably are not going to take this lying down, the fact that wages are not keeping pace with inflation right now.
That's a very difficult situation that we see in Europe. I mean, in the US, for example, but also I think in the UK, right? We see that wage growth has started to pick back up. But in Europe, it's been relatively flat so far. And at 1.5% wage growth and 7.5% inflation, that is a big hit to European purchasing power at the moment. So we're really going to look towards unions to see if they can convert that high inflation rate and the historically low unemployment rate that we're seeing in Europe into higher wage negotiation.
Now, what about the European Central Bank, Bert? I mean, obviously, no one was expecting an interest rate rise this year. We've started to get hints of it recently. I mean, for how much longer can they sit on their hands?
Yes, well, the ECB has started a relatively careful path of tightening their monetary policy by first building down asset purchases. They've already wound down their pandemic emergency purchase program by the end of last month. Now we're looking towards a relatively quick wrap-up of the traditional asset purchase program, and from there on, we do expect that at the end of this year, we're going to see a rate rise from the ECB, despite the economic outlook deteriorating. On the back of these purchasing power squeezes that we're experiencing, the ECB is not going to sit on their hands with inflation this high.
Do you think the ECB is particularly fixated on the exchange rate right now? Where do you think they'd like to see the euro trading versus the dollar?
Oh, that's very difficult, but we are indeed getting hints that it's starting to become a concern. I mean, the weakness in euro is adding to inflation worries at the moment, and that's just something that the ECB cannot get on the back of all of the energy price problems they're already experiencing. Mind you, I mean, energy is going to be the dominant driver in the short run, but clearly FX is on their agenda.
All right, Bert, we'll leave you to go and put your sweater back on now. Thanks for joining me today. Well, any day now, the UK government is expected to publish its energy security strategy. It's been delayed for several weeks due apparently to Treasury concerns about the cost of approving new nuclear power stations. But it's expected to include targets for both nuclear and for the wind and solar sectors. It's also expected to back greater exploitation of North Sea oil and gas reserves. Well, joining me now is Robert Buckley. He's an analyst at the consultancy Cornwall Insight. Robert, very good morning to you. Which particular sectors do you expect to be targeted for the biggest increases in capacity?
Good morning, Ian. Thank you for inviting me on. I've been watching you for years. It's a real pleasure to be on with you today. If we look at the paper, we see nuclear, offshore wind and onshore wind and solar as the four technologies that are capturing a lot of the kind of gigawatt capacity headlines. But equally important is moves that there might be to start investing in extraction of more oil and gas from the UK North Sea.
Well, we'll get on to that in a moment. But I mean, there's been some suggestions that there's going to be an increase in capacity for onshore wind farms. That's going to be a very tough sell for a lot of Conservative MPs, isn't it?
Politically, it is going to be difficult, but this whole thing is extremely difficult. I think you could argue that Europe, with a capital E, is in this situation because it's outsourced a lot of its energy policy to a supplier that's turned out to be extremely unreliable. So that there are difficult choices in all of this area if we want to keep a modern functioning economy. It is less energy intensive than it was, but it is still, energy is a very fundamental part of all of our lives.
Now, Sir Dieter Helm, who's been advising the Prime Minister, wrote a pretty incendiary blog on Friday in which he said the government was completely underestimating the cost of all this.
Yes, I can completely understand where Sir Dieter is coming from there. In fact, it's probably one of the reasons why in your opening remarks you talked about a delay. But actually, frankly, in terms of the decisions that take place in this sector, that they are very politically driven. They take a long time. The amounts of money are enormous. Hinkley Point C, for instance, is costed currently it costs more than £25 billion for 3 gigawatts of baseload capacity. It'll have an important role to play, but the numbers are huge.
I mean, Dieter Helm is also sceptical that the UK is going to be, in terms of electricity, completely carbon-free by 2035, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we would go further, actually. We have an analysis team in Cornwall Insight, and it's their view that we will still need 10-12% of gas in our generation mix by 2050 when meeting our carbon targets with carbon capture and storage, because as we see technology now and how it may develop, there will be an enduring role for gas providing that flexibility in the power generation mix. So yeah, gas is here for a while, hence the importance of the North Sea again.
Absolutely. And I mean, how much more can meaningfully be extracted from the North Sea?
It's a very good question. One I can't answer. All I can say is that it looks like incrementally we're going to go back to further development, which will keep more life in the sector for a considerable period of years. I mean, we certainly see we're half self-sufficient at the moment, which is a great boon, and reinvesting will keep that level of self-sufficiency up higher than it otherwise would have been.
But presumably the fact that oil and gas prices are now at elevated levels, that means that it's easier for oil and gas companies to break even on production that would have been previously unprofitable.
Absolutely, but as you know, Ian, this is a very, very cyclical market, and we came out of a bust in the period 2018 to 2020, which combined with the time when we were talking about the importance of net zero to really squeeze investment in the North Sea and increase our dependency on imports. There is a big argument about whether we should be extracting our own or importing, but I think what events in Russia have told us is that indigenous production has a premium, whether we like it or not, in the path to net zero.
And Robert, what about these small modular reactors that the government's been talking about quite a lot? Do you see these getting off the ground, and can they properly take the place of these sort of mega projects like Hinkley Point C?
there's a lot of political push for them. There seems to be two now in the running. I saw the media this morning around the Elon Musk back venture. It's certainly one where there is a lot of political support, where the technology seems to be deployable, where indeed there's a national interest, with Rolls-Royce leading the project. And the Secretary of State gave an interview yesterday where he certainly talked up the prospects for the Rolls-Royce SMRs.
All right, Robert, got to leave it there. Great to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Well, now as Ukraine citizens have fled the country, stayed to fight or simply hunkered down for safety, staying in touch has been vital. That means keeping the country's mobile network intact has become absolutely vital. Well, joining me now is Alexander Komarov. He's Chief Executive of Starr, Ukraine's leading mobile operator. Alexander, very good morning to you. First of all, how are things in Kiev right now? How are your people?
Good morning, Jan. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's much better in Kyiv, to be fair. So it is quite clear that Kyiv region is actually released from the Russians. So there is no sound of, let's say, bombs, explosions, so it's much more comfortable. But as far as most probably, there are horrible discoveries in the cities like Irpin or Bucha right now.
Obviously, the infrastructure integrity is going to be crucial. What sort of damage have the Russians done to the network?
It's actually, I can answer quite simple. So right now, around 10% of our network is out of operations, unfortunately. Okay, and of course, it's not evenly distributed across the countries. There are some regions where we almost lost communications, like for example, in Donetsk or Lugansk region. But at the same time, I can see that we can survive, we can stay, and we are relatively resilient against the invasion. So 90% of our networks are fully operational. We provide services to our customers, and we see that somehow the demand is only growing for the services.
That's pretty remarkable, 90% capacity, given everything the country's going through right now. What about traffic? Presumably that has absolutely gone through the roof.
Actually, it was at the beginning for the few weeks. Okay, we have actually had a record high traffic on 24th, 25th of February. Okay, but since then time, it's a kind of decline. So it's around 10% decline in the voice traffic. It's around 6% decline in the data traffic, and it's a huge drop in a fixed internet. But this is very much driven by a few factors. The first one is actually number of areas occupied. The second is migration out, and huge migration in Ukraine, so it's a really, really big shift that we are observing right now.
I gather that one thing that your people have been doing is creating mobile hotspots in bunkers. How have you done that?
Actually, it's a kind of national move. Let's say we are just part of this move. So what we did, we equipped more than 300 bomb shelters with internet access, through the fiber to home technology and Wi-Fi. It's very much driven by a very, very, let's say, simple need. So communication is a basic humanitarian need. It's extremely essential during the wartime.
What sort of help have you had from the telecoms industry more broadly?
There are two levels. The first one is actually the Ukrainian level. Somehow I can say that we operate like one network. I will give you an example. In these small cities around Kyiv, we are not rebuilding three networks simultaneously. We agreed that we will move step by step, but we will try to build one network to ensure the maximum, let's say, coverage and capacity, through the national roaming that was introduced just after the war start. And at the same time, we got quite serious international support from big vendors like Nokia, Ericsson, Microsoft, from international telco community. We just launched a roaming like home service. So every Kyivstar customer can get international services, abroad in 9 countries, based on their normal monthly bundle. So I can get 15 gigabytes in Kyiv and I can get the same 15 gigabytes in Warsaw. And this is very much based on direct support from the Eastern European telco operators.
So in other words, refugees who've had to leave the country, they will have no difficulty staying in touch with friends and relatives at home.
No, not at all. At the beginning, actually, we have provided free bonuses. All the operators, including Starr, provided free bonuses for all refugees for the first months. Okay, and right now we are providing, different support. Okay, in a different form, but I can ensure that everyone will be able to stay in touch.
And I gather, yes, your parent company was allowing free top-ups to customers as well.
Yes. Actually, not only free top-ups. Right now, you can be a normal active commercial customers with a zero charge. Okay, so we already provided more than 300 million hryvnias, actually around 10 million euro bonuses to our customers in order to ensure their access to the services.
Your parent company is in an interesting situation because it also is a leading mobile operator in Russia itself. It must be very challenging for you to talk to colleagues, presumably in Russia, that you've presumably worked with quite closely in the past.
Actually, we are not talking to each other. Okay, we are being managed, as a Ukrainian entity. Okay, due to the martial law, quite a big part of the, operations is being observed and managed by the National Coordination Center under the National Security Council.
Presumably, though, your Russian colleagues, a lot of them must be in despair and dismay at what's happened.
Yeah, I hope so.
You mentioned just now the help that you've been getting from some of the equipment suppliers. All the hardware that you need is getting through right now.
Yes, and it is very fast reaction. So there are some specific tasks that were necessary to resolve during the last months, and we got unprecedented support from all the vendors. So very fast reaction, so sometimes they even, brought us equipment that was designated to other operators in order to ensure fast delivery.
All right, Alexander, we have to leave it there. Do appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you very much indeed, and do stay safe. I hope all of your people are staying well as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you.
Other stories for you now. And the UK's financial regulators are to look into the way the London Metal Exchange managed the suspension and reopening of the market in nickel after last month's chaotic trading. The Financial Conduct Authority and the Bank of England said the events during which the price of nickel more than quadrupled following Russia's invasion of Ukraine had raised questions about the transparency of the LME. They said that the review would determine whether further action would be needed to be taken. Two of India's largest lenders are merging in one of the biggest corporate tie-ups ever seen in the country. Housing Development Financing Corporation, which is India's first specialised mortgage company, is merging with HDFC Bank, India's third biggest listed company by stock market value, and in which it owns a 21% stake. Well, the pair will have a combined $237 billion balance sheet, and they said the tie-up would enable them to lend more. And the insurance giant Aviva has appointed Charlotte Jones as its chief financial officer. She succeeds Jason Windsor, who resigned in January to take up the same role at the house builder Persimmon. Ms. Jones was previously chief financial officer at RSA Insurance, which was bought for £7.2 billion last year by Canadian and Scandinavian buyers. Well, Aviva's chief executive, Amanda Blanc, called it an excellent appointment. Now, while we all grapple with higher energy bills, the same also applies to businesses. And unlike households, they're getting no support from the government. Well, that's one of a number of challenges outlined in the latest Small Business Index published by the accounting software firm Xero, which is published today. Well, joining me now to talk about this is Alex von Schiermeister, who's the UK Managing Director of Xero. Alex, very good morning to you. I take it energy bills is the number one concern right now for SMEs, is it?
Good morning, Ian. Thank you very much for having me. It is one of them, Ian. Certainly rising costs and the squeeze on the cash flow for small businesses, as well as access to labor, are the two topics we hear the most often from small businesses.
And it's a very, very tight labour market as well right now. That is obviously causing a lot of difficulty in filling vacancies.
Well, Ian, I was with a small business just last week, a restaurant who's closing its doors. And it's interesting, even though they survived the pandemic and the furlough seasons and the different lockdowns, they're now finally having to go out of business because they can't find staff. So one of the things we're seeing through our business data We support hundreds of thousands of small businesses, and in aggregate, we can see that data, is that employment by small businesses is still over 8% lower today than it was February 2020 prior to the pandemic. And when you look at specific sectors such as hospitality, it's over 20% down, manufacturing over 15% down. So many businesses are still reeling from the after effects of the pandemic and just can't find the staff to operate.
What do you put that down to, Alex? Is this the great retirement as it's been dubbed, or are there other factors?
It's very difficult for us in the aggregate data to see exactly what it's due to, Ian. What we typically see is businesses telling us that yes, sales are up, right? They're over 8% up year on year in terms of their recovery, but the headwinds on the horizon, if you will, higher cost, energy cost, labor cost, difficulty to find people, are still significantly challenging, especially our small business sector.
And worth pointing out that some old bugbears for small businesses still very much to the fore, notably late payment.
Well, late payments is absolutely bugbear, and I'm afraid it's not getting better, Ian. Late payments have now reached their worst level since September 2020. On average, small businesses are getting paid over 8 days later than what they had expected that invoice to be paid at. And it's important to remember, right, for small business, an 8-day late payment may be missing rent payment. It may be a utility bill. It may mean not being able to meet payroll for their employees. So the consequences for small businesses are absolutely dire.
Let's try and look to the positive, Alex. I mean, as you say, you see all the aggregate data. Are there sectors where you're seeing strong sales growth right now, and which are they?
Well, generally, we're seeing service sectors recovering quite nicely. Again, on aggregate, over 8.8% growth versus last year across small businesses. Businesses in the services and kind of advertising sectors are recovering quite nicely. Now, again, I don't want to put a fly in the ointment, but a lot of that recovery is driven by some of the larger urban centers in cities, London in particular, whereas the rest of the country is being slower in recovery.
All right, Alex, we have to leave it there. Thanks for joining me today. It's much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Well, still to come here on Ian King Live. We'll have a look at how global markets are doing this Monday morning. Don't go away.
I'm David Blevins, and I'm Sky's senior Ireland correspondent. Politically, the two sides are as far apart as ever, and it's over that question of who has sovereignty in Northern Ireland, the very issue that's been the source of tension here for generations. It was just a handshake between two men in their 60s, but it's earned each of them a place in history. I've spent 25 years reporting the journey from conflict to peace.
The political parties of Northern Ireland have reached agreement.
We help you understand the world with us. If there's anyone who might know how to fix Northern Ireland's devolved government, it's the American architect that we've come to New York to talk to him.
Changes in circumstance require changes in approach.
If we both contract COVID-19 and end up in hospital, religion's nothing.
It's a virtually invisible line, but this is the place where plans for a speedy Brexit came to a shuddering halt. Welcome to the Northern Irish border.
Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are a UK-based online e-commerce store, the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food. Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
All over the world, to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clemens, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820, or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do that?
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of digging the hole of darkness.
So what did that
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Star Radio.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prum Prum Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
To show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. We're here. We they call them London. And I sabi you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile. If you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you're listening to
This is Starr Radio UK.
You are listening to Starr Radio Morning Show.
Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head.
All around the world. This is Starr Radio UK.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Okay, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Those of you on other planets as well, we salute you all. And we welcome you to the Monday edition of the morning show. Today is the 4th day of April, the year 2022, with the time now 10:35 from the Hearts of London. I hope that those of you who followed us earlier on enjoyed the news that we were bringing to you from across the globe, from via Sky. But it's not time for in-house. Let me say good morning to the team. Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, Kojo D, HRH Linda Palian all the way from Cyprus. Felix, I say a massive good morning to you, and I hope you had a good weekend. Kovi, good morning to you. Mr. David Kluche, I salute you all, gentlemen. To my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy, I say a massive good morning to you, sir. But to all our wonderful listeners across the globe, my goodness, I salute each and every one of you. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Special one to all my African listeners, those on the African continent who listen to us, especially those of you in Nigeria. Amayo, good morning to you. And to the team there, I salute each and every one of you. Tassino all the way in Moscow, I salute you, sir. I hope you're doing good. And to our listeners in South Africa, in Gambia, in Uganda, Tiso Radio, the crew there, we salute each and every one of you, and thank you very much for joining us once again. Well, listeners, as you know, I remain yours sincerely.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Playing in the background something from the Joyful Way Incorporated, a cover version of The Goodness of God.
I love you, Lord.
And once again, I say welcome to the program. Now, if it's your first time of tuning in to listen to us, this is how the program goes on Mondays. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel update as well. We move from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then after that, we'll continue with the program. Exactly at 11 o'clock, we'll be bringing you Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who will be bringing you updates from Nigeria. I will bring you some sneak view of what is going on in Nigeria at the moment. Then after that, we'll continue the discussions to other parts of the world. We'll be looking at some stories making the rounds in Ghana as well. A former Minister of Trade has said that, well, the passing of the e-levy into a law is going to cost the ruling party a great deal. But somebody will say, well, it's taxes. So if they are taking the taxes and the people can see improvement in their lives, what would they care? Wouldn't they vote for them? But well, we're taking taxes or collected taxes over the years, and what have we done with it? That is the question. And what is different from what is happening now? How do we know that what they are taking now or they're going to be taking now are going to be used for the right ventures that people can actually see with their naked eyes? But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. And then we'll be looking at some of the other stories across the globe as well. At 12 o'clock, the lines will be open for you to add your voice to the discussions. Then at 12:30 exactly, the questions are brought down for the end of the first part of the program, and we'll be going all the way to Cyprus to our own HRH Linda Palian, who will be joining us this afternoon. And today, you know what happened last week during the Oscars, the 94th edition of the Oscars, where we have Will Smith, who was in line to claim his first Oscars for Best Actor, ended up, slapping Chris Rock there. But the question now is, how does he bounce back from that? Has he ruined the rest of his career? Or, as we know, the cancel culture? We'll be looking into all that during the course of that discussion. Because if you find yourself in such a situation and your business seems to be suffering, and your contacts and everything seem to be suffering because of an action that you've taken, we want to tell you how you can get yourself out of that dandruff. Alright then, so and after that discussion, exactly at 1 o'clock, the contents are brought down for the end of the program. So in a gist, that is what is going to be happening today. It is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 10:40 the time. Stay with me, don't you go away. Now, the quote for today says, in whatever you do, build a strong core and establish the principles against which to measure yourself. A strong core and establish the principles against which to measure yourself. And you can say, look, I think looking back, I think I've improved. Or, yes, I'm doing better than I did the year before. What about that? Let's move on straight to the weather front. Interestingly, yesterday was a bit nippy, but today is going to be a bit milder as it's been than it's been of late. So for London and the southeast of England, this is how the weather is going to be for you. This afternoon will be dull and cloudy. It will start wet with spells of rain coming in. But it will turn drier at the afternoon as the afternoon draws on, with just some patchy rain lingering in places. A breezy afternoon expected as well. And this evening we'll see largely cloudy skies and some patchy light rain. It will become mainly dry overnight, although a few spots of rain may linger for some, staying breezy and mild as well. It is all coming away from Star Radio UK. Now the total temperature is going to be 14 degrees, the lowest 10 degrees. So as I said, milder. Now pollen level is going to be high, UV level low, pollution low, sunset 19:38, and sunrise for tomorrow morning 06:30 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. Just stay tuned, don't you go away. A quick break and I'll bring you the travel update as it's happening here in the UK. But you can share with us what is happening in your area. So stay tuned.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
This is Star Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, and we'll keep you navigated. I promise I'll born the Star Radio travel update that comes to where every weekday from 10:40. It's not 10:42. And how is your travels where you are? Okay, so from here, let me tell you what is happening when looking into our satellite to look down on your travels here this morning. Well, I can tell you assuredly, those of you on the underground, some issues here and there. Bakerloo line is partly suspended between Queen's Park and Harrow and Wilston due to an obstruction on the track at Stonebridge Park. Now, tickets are being accepted by London buses on the local in the local area. Good service on the rest of the line too. As you know, the Northern Line is partly closed until mid-May when it will be reopened. So if you are traveling on that for the first time, please check before you leave. Now moving on to London Overground. London Overground, no service between Euston and Watford Junction while they fix an obstruction from the track at Stonebridge Park. But good service on all other routes. Again, on the London tram link as well, we got a bit of issue there. Now, from Monday the 4th until Wednesday the 13th of April, no service between Therapia Lane and Wimble. The replacement buses are operating. You know, because the schools are, I think, on a break, and therefore, yeah, they can get on to do their activities. All right, then. But keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. I'll keep you navigated. I promise, our boy. Now, moving on straight to the major roads in London. A1 has got closures. A2, A3, A4 closures there. Blackwater closures there as well. And we got the Central London Red Route and South Circular A205 closures there as well. Now keep your eyes on the road. Keep your eyes on the road as we keep you navigated. Now when it comes to the river bus, I can tell you assuredly good service throughout. But finally, let's come to the National Rail. On the National Rail, cross country, Great Anglia and Transport for Wales have all got special service. First haul trains Grand Central Great Northern, Great Western Railway, London North Eastern Railway, Southern and Thameslink have all got minor delays. And that is why I say once again, well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
I love you, Lord.
Welcome.
Okay, welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. You don't see me, don't you worry, you'll be seeing me in a moment. Boom, I'm here.
From the moment that I wake.
Okay, so, like I said earlier on, from now till 1 o'clock, I'm going to be your captain.
Oh, I will sing.
We'll be flying through a journey where at times it gets bumpy. But be rest assured of one thing. Arrival at your destination, a safe arrival, that is assured. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Continue to listen to us and enjoy the ride. Now if you are sitting, hold on to something. If you are standing, hold on, grab something, you know. But get yourself a hot or cold drink, whichever is appropriate, and let's take this journey together. Okie doke. So playing in the background, something from the Joyful Way Incorporated. The goodness of God. I tell you, it's the goodness of God that has kept us still alive, well and kicking in the midst of all these challenges and difficulties. But as you know, Star Radio brings you programs tailored measure to meet all your needs. Therefore, if you find yourself in any situation at the moment, get in touch. We'll point maybe a good side or something for you or to you, so you can go get help from. You don't know what to do. So we are, as the former Prime Minister David Cameron said, we are all in this together. So let's see what we have for you. The goodness of God. Let me take this opportunity to also say good morning to Mr. Dave West, Empress Regina. Welcome back home. I hope you had a very nice trip. And I hope the family is doing well as well. And it's all Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. You do it religiously, and I really, 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 really appreciate you for that. Okay, now let's go global trotting. straight from what Mr. Olayomi will be bringing us, or what we'll be looking at when it comes to updates from Nigeria. Suspected herdsmen killed 12 persons in Plateau community to avenge death of poisoned cattle. Really? And police inspector dies during sex room with secret lover in Oyo Hotel. So it's a trivia one there. And IPOP speaks on Buhari ordering Nnamdi Kanu's release. Nigeria's people of Biafra on Monday reacted to claims that President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered release of its leader Nnamdi Kanu. There were reports that Buhari ordered the release of the IPOP leader from detention. Kanu has been incarcerated since 2021 June when he was arrested in Kenya and repatriated to Nigeria. The IPOP leader was arraigned before Justice Binta Nyako led Federal High Court sitting in Abuja upon return to Nigeria. The IPOP leader was arraigned on charges bordering on terrorism, but reports surfaced online that President ordered the release of IPOP leader. However, IPOP spokesman Ima Powerful dismissed such reports. Now, how true is that? It's a rumor that seems to be going around, and we'll see how true that is. It's maybe Buhari thinking that look at it. I mean, the best way is to just just reach out. Is that what he's thinking now? Okay, so we're bringing you more on that front as it develops. Intensify prayers against insecurity. Etsunope tells Muslims. Well, interestingly, when we got our security apparatus, where we are paying them, we are using our taxes, and we're paying our taxes to make sure that we are secured and we can go about our duties without any fear or panic. Well, it's gotten to a point where now we have to resort to only prayers. That is the only way forward for us. My goodness. All right then. Starr Radio UK. And the federal government responds to Obasanjo's fears over killings. That is the Kaduna train disaster thing that happened there. Well, we'll be bringing you more on that front once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki as well. And it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. African continent, South Sudan's rivals sign agreement in a bid to normalize relations. How long are they going to go continuing fighting and fighting and fighting? Oh, Mewo. I see we don't have well, somebody will tell you that I see what is happening in our back Ukraine. So, well, everybody can go cuckoos at times. Or what do you think? Well, it's all Starr Radio UK. At least we've not seen any African country, invading another country, bombing the people and then destroying them. No, we've not seen anything. Have we seen anything of the sort? We have our own evils, demons that we are fighting, but not as bad as this, are we? Okay, well, Starr Radio UK. Some other stories making the rounds across the globe. Demands for tougher Russia sanctions over civilian killings. And Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam won't seek second term. Carrie Lam's 5 year in office saw massive pro-democracy protests and increased Chinese control. Well, he says that he's not going to be vying for the position again, so who? And then Hungary Prime Minister criticized Zelensky as he wins votes. Near complete results show Viktor Orban has won a 4th term in Hungary's election by a landslide. But it's going a step further, criticizing Zelensky, that's the president of Ukraine. I'll be bringing you more on that front in a moment. But some other story is making the rounds on the African continent before we come to the UK. Now, e-levy, panic response from Momo users disturbing. Well, people knowing that, well, as the government has set up, come May, they will start deducting the e-levy for transactions. Now, the people have decided to withdraw their monies. Now, we have this government who was coming in at a time was saying that, well, we'll make sure that every person has a bank account. So sort of this Momo thing became sort of a bank account where people didn't need to carry, bulk sum of money for transactions. So they have their phones and that's where their monies were. However, with the passing of this e-levy, where people are thinking that, well, I've not transacted any business, I've not made any profit yet, I'm being taxed, people have decided to withdraw some of their money. And in relation to that as well, a former minister for trade and industry by name Dr. Kofi Kunedu-Apreku has said that, well, the MPP will pay a big price for the e-levy implementation. You think that maybe this time round the taxes will be used for its purposes and therefore people can actually see visibly what the monies have been used for and maybe that can turn the tide for them? Or same old, just another day where we'll be seeing, they take all the taxes, they have nothing to show for. When we have the Minister for Finance and Economic Planning calling for lenders to lower their interest rates for them so that they can come borrowing some more. It is interesting when it comes to Africa, it's very, very, very interesting. But it's bringing the time now to 4 minutes to the top of the hour, the morning show. I continue. I'm Archie. Yes. Okay, in the UK front as well. Yes, what is happening here? Okay, so fines over number 10 events on Philip's funeral eve. Now, please issued fixed penalty notices to some people who attended a gathering on 16th of April 2021. And you know what, they are charging them 50 quid, Now, Easter travel chaos as flights cancelled. Now, airlines cancelled scores of flights due to COVID as UK airports struggle and Eurotunnel warns of 3 hours delay. And father of murdered PC calls for medal recognition. The father of a police officer killed on duty wants the Elizabeth Cross medal to honor 999 workers. And the Prime Minister condemns Russia despicable civilian attacks. And Boris Johnson says scenes in Irpin and Bucha are yet more evidence of war crimes in Ukraine. Now they're going on this part. That doesn't mean, don't you think that what Putin is going to do now is to make sure that he unleashes every venom so that, because what you're trying to do is that just a matter of time, once you capture him or he's betrayed by his country, then you will capture him and he will face the full rigors of the law. But if he decides that, well, I'm not going to let that happen and therefore I'm going to come and just crash everything, then what happens then? We'll be looking into all the stories in a moment. But at the moment, just stay tuned. Don't you go away. Enjoy this song from Nana Manuel. And it says, it go happen. Yes, it go happen. Enjoy.
It go happen, it go happen. If I know say it go happen, as God say it go do and if I know say it go happen, it go happen, it go happen. If I know say it go happen, as God say it go do and if I know say it go happen. Radio
broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
It go happen, it go happen, it go happen. If I know say it go happen, yeah, say it go do one more time. Everybody, don't say you go do one. If I don't say you go happen, it go happen, it go happen. Certainly, don't say you go happen. Yeah, don't say you go do one. If I don't say you go happen. Some trust in horses, others trust in chariots, but we have your name, oh Lord. Have faith in God, lean not on your own understanding. faith in God. Lean not on your own understanding. One more time, hey. Have faith in God. Lean not on your own understanding. 1, 2, everybody say, it go happen. It go happen, it go happen. If you don't say it go happen, certainly. If you don't say it go happen, if you don't say it go happen, it go happen, it go happen, it go happen, certainly. If you don't say it go happen, if you don't say it go happen, it go happen, it go happen, certainly. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Hold on, hold on. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Trust in God.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Yeah, why can't you know? Yeah, why can't you know? He go up inside. Certainly. He go see, he go see. He go check you. Alright, let's do this part it says. Alright, say. Yeah, why can't I obey? Flower shining moon. Yeah, why can't I obey? I take it again. Oh, you nyami on the atro. Oh, you nyami on the yamon. Flower shining moon. Yeah, why can't I obey? Ya waka no no yeah. I take it again. Oh yo nyamia ondiatro. Oh yo nyamia ondiamona. Wow reshenimu. Ya waka no no.
Okay, yes, Ego happen by Nana Manuel. That is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 5 minutes past the top of the hour. I hope you've enjoyed that tune. Whatever thing that you are trusting God for, be rest assured, some way, somehow, it has happened. You know, it has happened. I think that's why some people are calling for Nigerians to be praying for their security. You know, I think that maybe government has lost it. So this time around, let's pray to God. Let God send angels to come and protect us. It's a shame when God has given us everything that we need, or we have, or we must have, to be able to protect ourselves and do the thing that we're supposed to do. But what do we see? Well. It is Starr Radio UK. Okay, let's take a quick commercial break. And I bring you the updates from Nigeria, since we're still waiting for Mr. Olayomi to get in touch because he's trying to investigate some story that's going on. It is Starr Radio UK.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Okay, welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to 7 minutes past the top of the hour. Whilst we wait for Mr. Olayomi to get himself up and get all the other broadcast lines linked up with the various platforms, just bear with us and let's get ourselves ready to bring you updates from Nigeria. It's now gone what? 7 minutes past the top of the hour. Let me say, Amayo, good morning once again. I hope you had a very nice weekend. All right, now let me go straight to Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Let me say, Yomi, good morning to you.
Well, it is a very good morning back to you in the studio, and I say good morning to all our listeners from around. I'm going to Starr Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, how are you doing, sir?
Well, it's very good. I'm doing very well. We just have to give thanks. That's the most important thing. Whenever we're back, like you always say, we got to be grateful. There's quite a lot happening, and some of the happening means that we that are alive, we gotta appreciate the life that we are still in, because there's so much turbulence. There's a holiday at the moment, so we're on again, and quite a lot to discuss. I know I've not posted them, but we get them in as quickly as possible because there's quite a lot to discuss. But the most important thing is, do we need machineries to come and resolve the problems in Nigeria? Will there be election in 2023? That is actually coming back on again, and that is by the one and only Pastor Enoch Adeboye, the leader and the founder of the Redeemed Christian Church, that spoke yesterday. Pastor Paul Adefarasi spoke as well. We're going to be playing some of those audio clips, but let me come back again to you in the studio. It is exactly coming up to 9 minutes past the hour this morning on Starr Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Okay, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you. Let me say good morning to Adeneyi Ade Jibril. How are you doing? Hope you had a very nice weekend. Anthony Adedeji. Hey, Johnny. I hope you are doing very well as well. Okay, Olayomi has asked the question there in one of the updates. Mercenaries. Is that the only way forward now for Nigeria? As I said, some Muslim clerics are saying that, look, we need to pray. We need to pray during this fasting time. We need to pray so that God will intervene. Now, God has given us, somebody say, everything that we need to do what we're supposed to do. However, we find ourselves in a situation where we now have to come to God, say, God, help us out. And somebody asks you the question, so what do we expect God to do now? But well, don't you go away, because there is lots more that Mr. Olayomi Koiki is bringing your way. But first of all, I came by this story, Yomi, I came by this story this morning whilst I was trying to review some of the stories making the rounds, and pertains to President alleged statement by the president that Nnamdi Kanu should be released. How true is that? Have you also heard it?
Well, the most important thing is the Nnamdi Kanu will be in court, I believe on the 8th of April, if I'm right, with the next court hearing, which we might verify it again. But I was watching the background, they sit at home again today, even though there's this, impression that the sit at home is no longer valid, but it seems, people are not listening because they still believe that, as long as Nnamdi Kanu is still held by the federal government after his rendition and kidnapped back to Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu will still, his followers will still have to sit at home. But the question about whether there will be a release from the federal government, remember, the elders of the Ohanese, visited, President Muhammadu Buhari, at some point, and the impression, was maybe the president will be a little bit lenient, but the president has agreed that he would allow, the court of the, court proceeding to take ahead. But his followers and his legal representative do not believe that he's getting a fair hearing, because at the moment he's still being kept, at the DSS custody, which they believe that shouldn't be so anymore. So the question you're asking is, whether we will see the release of Nnamdi Kanu, or there will be a kind of where leniency will play through. I'm not sure that is going to happen at the moment, but the most important thing is, quite a lot of people are concerned that the longer Nnamdi Kanu is there, is not, the country itself is completely, totally divided. You just have to follow, some of the, the comments, some of what people are saying online, whether you are for Nigeria or you are against Nigeria, regarding, wherever your take is. There's quite a lot. And I'm going to be picking up, like I said, what, the Redeemed Church of God, Pastor Deboye also said yesterday regarding some of what we have been saying, what millions of Nigerians are saying. Well, like they say, it is never too late to respond. But let me come back again to you in the studio, and then we're going to start going into some of the other conversation this morning. Once again, as you're joining us, we welcome you to Starr Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, where we are again this morning reviewing some of the latest news coming out of Nigeria this morning.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, for you, as I said, we always have interesting stories that are developing, and it's one of those pertaining to alleged statement by the president for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. As we know, the president, some other statement that came from there, the president's office was saying that, well, they will want him to go through the full rigors of the law, let him face it, and then when he's sentenced and everything, then maybe the president can pardon him. But as it is at the moment, they reckon that, well, he's guilty and the law should take its own course. But what do you think? We want to have your take on what is going on there. Let's quickly come to the mercenaries issues, and let me take it alongside what the former president Obasanjo has said pertaining to what is happening at the moment. In Nigeria. Let me quickly try to get you that story. Okay, just bear with me. Well, the response from the federal government, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has disagreed with former President Olusegun Obasanjo, insisting that the federal government was not overwhelmed by the security situation. Now, he said that Mohammed insisted that Nigeria's military had successfully flashed out terrorists from the northeast zone, and the northwest will also be rid of criminal elements soon. But this is a case where we see, even at the moment, I think whilst we were on air, whilst I was monitoring earlier on, I found that another attack has been taking place where Fulani herdsmen are said to have, kidnapped or killed 12 people because their cattle were poisoned. So There's insecurity is going on. So what are they talking? Do we need mercenaries there?
Well, it is, the governor of Kaduna State. Kaduna, as you remember, last week Monday, was under heavy attack after the bombardment of the train. From what we are getting, almost about 181 people are still missing. That means, unaccounted for. Remember that, during the course of that, train attack, we saw that quite a lot of, people got missing. Quite a lot of, different, information, up to where we are not even sure, how many Nigerians, as we speak right now, completely, are missing. So machineries, ACF, ex-IGP, ex-DSS director disagree with the El Rufai and the Northwest governor. Arewa Consultative Forum, the ACF, the former Inspector General of Police, the former DSS director, and Mike Ejiofor have disagreed with the governor Nasser El-Rufai of Kaduna State and other Northwest governors over plans to engage machineries to fight the bandits and the terrorists. In fact, the ACF said the security of the country rested squarely on the central government, noting that the invitation of foreign force or machinery to fight terrorists must be handled with the utmost caution. But this is what El-Rufai had to say, which I picked up this morning while I was getting ready for the studio in one of his, his interview that I believe is not a recent one. I'm just trying to see if we got that here. Okay, we'll come back to that, but this, I'm going to get that ready. But he was speaking, in regard to the knowing of these bandits. They even have their telephone numbers.
Yeah.
But their concern is, the military or the Nigerian Air Force cannot go into that community and bomb those places because we might also have innocent Nigerians there as well. So the concern then is, who should be dealing with this insecurity that has engulfed almost every part of Nigeria as we speak this morning? This is Star Radio UK. I'll come back again to you in the studio.
Well, listeners, it's quite an interesting one. We want to know your take. I would definitely want to have your take on that. What do you think about what we are saying, insecurity? Maybe now mercenaries are coming in there. They know, but the thing again is they don't know the terrain. It's a Nigerian army who knows the terrain, and therefore, but well, we know mercenaries come in and they are able to find their ways because of their training and stuff like that. But Laya Muhammad is saying that, well, our soldiers, our military or security agencies are well trained and they know how to go about things. Do you think that the federal government is actually concerned about you? Or do you think that maybe you have to get your own money to hire some mercenaries or some security agency to protect you? I want to know what you think about all that. But it's all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We'll be having Mr. Frank Davis coming soon, since he's joined us in the studio as well. But let's go back to Yomi. Again, let's go to the former president Obasanjo. Now, I know that he actually is angry about the stance of the. But what suggestions has he also put across?
Well, it's not the first time that he's writing letters or is a critic to any of the government. He has always been so. But the former President Olusegun Obasanjo have said that the regime of President Major General Muhammadu Buhari has been overwhelmed by the insecurity, as also the evidence, by the bombing attack on the Kaduna-bound train last week, but also quite a lot. One of the imam, that is in Abuja, a very critic of this government, was taken off his position, but this is what he had to say, in some of his previous interview. Let's listen to that in just about a few minutes.
Is there nobody to take responsibility? I want to believe that we have all failed. I failed as an imam to teach you that life is sacred. You all failed as parents to teach your children that killing is bad. Our community leaders failed. Our politicians failed. Governors failed. Especially His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you have failed us. We have your video telling Nigerians that the military is capable. Our military is capable. It has all the requirement to tackle this insurgency. And if you are voted into power, you are going to make sure that happens in a short time. You have given 4 years an addition.
Let me leave that. That is there's a lot of condemnation. I've trailed the suspension of the chief imam of Akpo Legislative Quarters Mosque, Sheikh Nuru Khalid, over the sermon considered to be anti-government. In the sermon that has just come up, this one was last year, but he has actually done another one in relating to the Kaduna-bound train bomb attack by the terrorists in Nigeria, where also, according to the Foreign Office, which I was reading yesterday, has also now cautioned any British citizen that is traveling to not go to those areas because of the insecurity. In the sermon, the cleric lambasted the government over the killings in Nigeria, advising Nigerians not to vote leaders who cannot guarantee the safety of lives and property during the 2023 general election. He's not the only one talking. Let's now go to Pastor Paul Adefarasi on a sermon before we then come back to it. Is a Sunday of sermon to the government, to Nigerians, and those that are now saying, we've said so, it is time now to dissolve or disintegrate the country. As Professor Banji Akintoye was speaking yesterday, we're going to get some of those also clip as well. But this is what Pastor Paul Adefarasi has to say. This is Star Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, coming up to exactly 11:22. This is what Pastor Paul Adefarasi has to say.
You hear what I'm saying? Third, he must never have been associated with terrorism. In any remote shape or form, a sponsor, complicit, tacit supporter, must never have been. Regardless of what tribe, and we don't really care which tribe the next leader should come. But because of so much regionalism, it is important now that all indigenous Nigerians, whose ethnicity is properly indigenous, must come together to ensure that non-indigenous Nigerians do not hold the levers of power to ransom.
Well, I'm sure you heard there. That means that we must not allow the non-indigenous to hold power again in Nigeria. That's if Nigeria continue to be in 2023. Let me come back to you in the studio before we get the next video ready, where we're going to get the audio coming out. This is Star Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'll be giving us the time clock on Star Radio UK. How many more days? But come back first to you in the studio.
Okay, listeners, it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And to every one of you who has joined us as well, I say thank you very much for joining in. But we've got lots more that we're going to be discussing. And in your shots at the moment, you have Mr. Frank Davis there as well. Frank, let me say good morning to you.
Archie, good morning, and good morning to our listeners, our viewers. Olayomi, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I hope you had a nice weekend.
Yes, it was a packed one, but it's a nice weekend. Yeah. It was a nice weekend.
There is a prayer that of late people have been praying when we come to incidents happening in Nigeria. They say, may Nigeria never happen to you. So Nigeria didn't happen to you.
Nigeria didn't happen to me, but
Ghana did.
No, Ghana also passed me by. Ghana passed me by. But let's be grateful we are Nigerians. Let's be grateful we are Africans.
Yeah.
It's all that over the weekend, Nigerian story. I sent you a story this morning, which for me was very heartbroken. Because if it got to a point where the failure of our president is now being discussed as a subject, and taught, cited as a classic example of what no government or a president should be, then I think it's very, very, very sad. When they talk of failed state, they're going to be talking about countries like Sudan, Somalia, and those days. But to a point where they talk of the president or a person you shouldn't be, and Buhari picture will pop up as an classic example where a university, a researcher in a university,
I saw that.
is actually
Let me say, you also saw that.
I sent it. For me, Archie, is
a lot of blogs at the moment as well. But I'll come back to you in the studio. Yes.
It's the lowest. It's the lowest we can get to. Not that he's gone
It
past.
now become a mockery.
Yeah, it's not that he's gone past. You can use Idi Amin to elaborate that.
Yeah.
You can use the past president to elaborate that. But when we have a sitting president being used as a classic example of what no one should aspire to be
as a president,
then someone saying in we didn't
go, we jumped and we landed at the same place. Well, listen, that's Mr. Frank Davis for you. Like I said, you can share your comments with us, but let's come to the insecurity thing that is going on. Last week we had the Kaduna Abuja train bombing thing that took place, and then we had the case where people were abducted. Now, as of this morning, that they were saying about 100 and something have not been found. But luckily, I think whilst I was on air doing some this research, and I found out that they said 200 plus have been found. Others are still missing it. So you look at the insecurity that is, garnishing the whole of Nigeria. Then you ask yourself the question, as some people were asking last week, has Nigeria got into a failed state?
I wouldn't say it has gotten to a failed state. What we have to differentiate between a failed state and failed leaders. What we do have are failed leaders, but Nigerians as individuals, industrious, capable of changing the situation at any time given the opportunity. One thing that is lacking now is that Nigerians have not been able to master the courage to take out those responsibilities to do something. I've not seen Nigerians continue to brace themselves that life or death, we will make sure the government work. I want to see the Nigerians demonstrate to the governor's office and sit down until the governor respond and put certain things in place. I want to see Nigerians, whether it's let it go through, whether thousands are going to be killed, if 3 people survive, let them see a better Nigeria. That is exactly what we want. I want to see a Nigeria where the youth who are struggling will take the responsibility to their own hands and say, look, today, Senate, whether you like it or not, we are actually coming to deliberate with you. Until you pass a law, until you do something that will see a change in that in our lives, we are not going home. We are also citizens. We also deserve better. That situation, I think that potential is there. What we have now as failed leaders, it's not only the President Buhari that has failed, the ministers have failed, the Parliament has failed, and the Senate has failed. Because one, the Senate and the Parliament has failed, the representatives have failed to call Buhari to order, have failed to work closely with the government to ensure that Nigerians' lives are improving. Now, Lai Mohammed is talking about security situation better and other things. The reality on the ground does not reflect the distance between what he's saying and the reality on the ground, that even those who are not in Nigeria can see, can read, can hear. Every day it keeps on widening, the gap keeps on widening. So while they live in their curriculum, basically, whether it's a space craft in luxury, and therefore they cannot see reality. Every day they seems to be acting in ways and making commander distance themselves from us, because this is not the first time. Even his superior boss has come. We recall somewhere last year, he vowed that attacks of those nature will not be witnessed by Nigerians again. But the very day he said, the following day we had, and we see the escalation form of it. So if Buhari were someone by now, he should be thinking of how do we organize a national dialogue to be able to.
That's it.
At least how do we get even the opposition on board? How do we make sure that even common ordinary Nigerian business elite, how do we get involved? Because this is an emergency situation. The people that are killed in Nigeria are more than those who have died in Ukraine war.
Oh, of course.
Okay. The people that have been killed in Nigeria over a period of 1 year are more than those who have been killed in this. But the whole world, including Nigeria itself, voted. Nigeria voted alongside the US at the Security Council. What are the backs? Their back door. Nothing is happening. And the two Obasanjo, they want to attack Obasanjo. He's speaking the reality. He's been there before. You were a military man. He was a military man. He's been there. You are also there now. So I mean, you can't tell me that he doesn't know what he's talking about. If there's anyone who is more informed, knowing that more can be done.
Yeah.
There's no living individual today. That even Jonathan Goodant has not qualified as Obasanjo.
Because he didn't wear the hat of
a military officer.
Yeah.
They all be president, but this man has been a military officer. I know that military acts based on certain things. And if that command is not coming from the commander-in-chief, who was also a military officer or a military commander, then that officer, and I don't know why we still have him. That's the truth.
Well, why do we still have him? It is Starr Radio UK. 11:30 the time, and we still have Mr. Olayomi Koiki on. I think there was some interruption from his end. I will try to see whether we still have him back. But let me say good morning to Busari Kazim. I hope you are doing very, very well, Buzari. Where are you listening to us from, Buzari? Let's know. It would be nice to acknowledge you there. Okay, listeners. Mr. Olayomi Koiki, let me see whether he's on. Yomi. Okay, he's not on. Just bear with us while we try to get him back on. But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, I think we have Yomi. Yes. Hello, Yomi.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Listeners, just bear with us. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Now, let's move on to the other audio that you have. You wanted to play that one. I think one from Pastor Enoch Adebayo. Is it from him?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
This is what he has to say yesterday during the service to all the congregation, both at home and outside the country.
Where is the money going to? 80% of what should have been the income of a nation is going to the hand of some people. That's a lot of money, man. What do they want to do with the money? That's question number 3. Question number 4. Who are the foreign nations buying this stolen oil? Question number 5. How many of these nations of the world are your friends? So you can see the reason why I'm not thinking of 2023. Maybe that's why God has not spoken to me about that, because there is a lot to deal with now. Do I tell you one more thing? It is open secret. It's in the news. Undenied. That more than 90% of our income, more than 90% of the money we get from the leftover of the oil that was stolen, we are using it to pay the interest of the money we have already borrowed.
So I'm going to let that go and come back again, and you can see that there's now a lot of people that are talking. Some of what he said yesterday, just to to bring it into perspective, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, has said that he does not know if there will be elections in 2023, considering the spat of killings and insecurity ravaging the country. The clergyman lamented the way and manner terrorists are gaining ground and killing in the country, particularly in Kaduna State. I watched a video yesterday, and that video, this morning rather, saw quite a number of people, women and children, running away from their community. I'm not talking about in their hundreds. I'm talking about almost close to 300 to 400, and I'm told from that video that they were heading towards the IDP camp because their community is no longer safe for them to stay in. So yesterday, he was one of those that created a lot of conversation to millions of Nigerians and those that have already been saying that election in the next how many days, which we have right now, says that 312 days, 13 hours, 24 minutes, 58 seconds. Will there be in Nigeria in 2023 Later on, before the end of the program, I'll be giving what the world leader, the leader of the Yoruba group, Ilana Worldwide, said during an engagement town hall meeting with the Yoruba yesterday, that we are better off now to leave Nigeria because the Fulani Caliphate are not going to let anybody have peace of mind if we continue to be part of Nigeria, because this has been a plan for a very, very long time. It just never started yesterday. This is Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, where I come back again to you in the studio before we go into some of the other headlines this morning.
Well, listeners, interesting, quite an interesting update there. But let me ask you, Yomi, do you think that the government is prepared to, get help from the opposition?
Well, whether the government is going to get help from the opposition, the question is, what is the opposition going to do in the first place? The opposition have not really been active, even though, yes, they've been complaining. The PDP have said that, if the Nigerians allow them to come back to power, they will be able to, sort out some of the issues that a lot of Nigerians are facing, be it economic-wise, where millions of Nigerians now are finding it very difficult, to have 3 square meal. The exchange rate is going very high, the insecurity is there, and the university students are still out of school. There is no job, so the opposition will not be able to do much at this present time, only if Nigerians will give them that same opportunity. But that opportunity is if there will be a 2023, because remember, a lot of people are also asking the question regarding the 1999 military decree that has been enforced on Nigerians since 1999, when it was put together by some few military cabal. Also, over the weekend, there is now eminent evidence that there will be a coup in Nigeria, which we already announced over the weekend.
let me quickly come to Frank. It's 11:37. Then we can just run up. Now, do you think Nigeria can go for an election, especially when we know that when we're going for Africa as a whole, when we go for elections, is whoever wields more money and influence, not because of policies or anything of the sort. Was it last week or last 2 weeks when myself and Yomi were discussing some issue, and some information that came through was that Nigeria lost in a span of only 12 months
26 billion
dollars from people who are selling crude oil underneath the carpet. Transaction that never was captured.
That is what was found.
Yeah. So
that is the reported. And most often we know that what is not reported is more than what has been reported.
It's true. So the reported ones, that's what we are talking about. So virtually people are ravaging the economy. From whatever they are doing. And we have Pastor Adebayo saying that, looking at the percentage, he's talking about 80% of whatever the state makes, the country makes, going amiss. So the one, the other 10% that they have, 90% of that one as well, going to pay interest on loans that they've taken.
And then you ask yourself, of all the education that we had, what informed our negotiations? What I think we're lacking, one thing that I think we're lacking is our ability to negotiate. Not that we are stupid, but we negotiate into our torments. We negotiate into our pockets. So for instance, all the resources that we do have, if you take, let's say, Shell, which is operating, you ask yourself, what percentage has Nigeria been given in any oil field? You ask yourself, those who signed those agreements, what were they thinking of? Were they just looking at an account that has been created in what you call, let's say, HSBC for them without their knowledge, and all they do, they are handed over an envelope, a checkbook, and a bank card, and the account balance that, oh, minister, we've done this for you, and or they're looking at how others have done it, because Nigeria is not the only country that has oil. Ghana is not the only country. In fact, most African countries have oil, right? Then you ask yourself, how come that of all the oil nations, from Scotland, Norway to Arabs, how come that the same product that is being exploited in different parts of the world, Russia, wherever you call it, how come that those of us in Africa seems not to be benefiting from those?
It's rather become a curse unto us.
Are you getting me? I mean, why? Then you look at our leaders, that those who signed those agreements. I mean, let me take classic example of Ghana. If you take one oil, when Anadaku, Tello, and other things were coming to sign the Jubilee oil field, I think Tello took about 35 or 25% of that oil. Anadaku took, Tello took, which is a British company, took 35%. Now, Anadaku, another American company, took 25%. Another American company took 25%. All right, so that is 85%. Then we had then we had 10% that was given to the country. Then we have people who just carried the documents, not that they worked, they carried the documents because they had the opportunity that they were appointed by Kufuor based on people's vote in the year 2000. They got about 3%, 3 or 5% out of that, and the whole country got about 10%. So whatever we generate over there, they will tell you we're making taxes and other. Actually, whatever we generate over there, out to about 21 billion of whatever that has been generated, Ghana has earned less than, a peanut, less than
2 billion.
Yeah, less than that from that. So you ask yourself, of all the resources that we've generated in what they call it, Nigeria, what percentage remains? And like Adiba is saying, of that, fraction that remains, then you don't have I'm going to speak Nigerian here. You don't have. Then you have leaders who are now have created themselves into vultures, vultures to actually feed on that little one. So even the crumbs that the agreements have left us.
That one too.
So actually, there were times I've supported coup, and I said, okay, I support coup because of one thing. I want some of these agreements to be torn. Because at the end of the day, we need to reset the buttons. If we do not do that, and if any leader that comes, we're going to be having, yes, there might be a degree of proactiveness, challenge it, and the 10% how they are able to make use of it from one leader to another. But fundamentally, Archie, we not go anywhere unless those agreements are changed. And unless we take the situation to our hands, say this can never be. Look, if for instance Shell Oil invest in something, or Goni Land, they invested, let's say 50 billion or 5 billion. Haven't they made that profit already? So why can't we just go back to the table and tell them, look, you've made well and above your interest. It is time we renegotiate that lease agreement that was signed or was signed by today. It does, and this is where I want Nigerian youth to take the future into their own hands. Ghanaian youth to take the future into their own hands. I gave you an example before of what I witnessed with Justice Olori when an oil refinery was supposed to be built. I don't know what has come of it now. And I happened to have visited him at his friend's place at Grosvenor area, and he showed me the agreement by example. I read through the agreement and I realized that, look, this is a man, and this is a typical agreement that is signed. Nigerian government, this man wanted to build. He was a former Chief Justice of Lagos State, right? And this is a true story which I was involved. I got to know. Now, they signed an agreement. He wanted to build an oil refinery. Now, the agreement that was signed, he went to the government and said, okay, if you're able to build the oil refinery up to about 45%, we will begin to give you allocation of oil barrels to help you to start selling that oil before even the
refinery.
Now, and in that agreement is something that was signed for the first, I think, about 25 years. Now, he was also committed. That agreement is collateral. It is like money. Now, he took this agreement and wanted a consultant with lawyers and other things, wanted to help bring investors on board. You see, we always go about investors, and when they come, even if they are holding our necks, we think because they are investors putting poison in our foods, because we think that notion of we must, they are it's more that they are looters, they are not investors. Now they took that document and they gave him an agreement. Actually, it will interest you to know that the agreement they gave him, I'm not going to mention the foreign company that was involved because they are still operating in Nigeria. They were taking about 60% of that revenue. Okay, 60% of that revenue. Then another 25% was going to another foreign entity that were supposed to join hands. Do you know how much they were going to leave him? They were leaving him with less than 20%.
Wow.
So we look at that agreement and say, look, this cannot be. This is what we'll be fighting against all that. Go back to them. So we drafted a new agreement. Go back to them and tell them, look, you're not going to go ahead with this agreement unless they change the terms. One, that agreement from the government that you have is as good as a letter of credit.
Yeah.
Any bank, knowing, because it's a proven reserve, any bank will give you, will loan you, and that agreement is what they were going to use to raise money anyway. Because almost all these companies that come to Africa, they come based on some degree of proven reserve before they come to invest. Are you getting me? Actually, so I told him, look, go back, tell them you will give them 39%, you will control 45%, and then you give 6% to what do you call it? As corporate social responsibility. They should either, if they either take it or leave it. If they don't want it, they can go. A month later, he came back to London and called her, Frank, the people have agreed, and they were asking, how come you change your mind and other things. He fired his lawyer and his accountant. You see, we need to go back to these people and tell them we are not stupid. We need to go, and I think this is where the Nigerian, when we're complaining about impoverishment, we have Nigerians who are gas experts, accountants, oil experts. Why are they not launching on some of these agreements and launching petitions, even if he has to take international effort that this is not helping us? We did not sign this agreement to impoverish ourselves, and if some people have signed it, let's reverse them, and the time is now.
Let me ask Yomi about this alleged coup d'etat that was said to have been being plotted or being hatched. How true was that?
Well, there's a concrete evidence that it is now imminent that there will be a coup in Nigeria. Is already in that process. When it's going to be executed is when nobody knows, but there is now concrete evidence that there is an imminent to a coup in Nigeria.
Now, so you ask yourself the question: what is making somebody think that, look, I've got the support of the country behind me, and therefore I need to do that because they are being failed?
So Olayomi, the other thing that we should be wary of is that some of the coups can be staged by the government itself. Some of these news try to divert attention. Some of these news can be planted. If government has concrete evidence, why have they not acted? They should have acted to arrest the people, right? You see, every single day in every African country today is a potential day for coup. Why? So the evidence that they are coup plotting is not new. The coup plotting is what is going on in our tummy, because as long as Nigerians continue to go hungry, their brains begin to think, how do we topple this government? How do we get rid of Buhari?
So
whether to a gun, that is it. So every day, majority of Nigerians, majority of Ghanaians, majority of Ugandans are plotting the coup in their heads. They are plotting a coup, and the evidence you need to see that is the quality of their lives. Are you getting me? It's not that someone's going to buy guns. If about guns, don't you have Fulanis and that gun? So the issue about coup and other things should not be drummed up by the authorities just to divert attention from what is happening. Every day there's potentially there could be a coup because of the conditions, the hardship that the Nigerians are facing.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's go back to Yomi, because I know that we spend lots of our time at the moment, but so that you can bring any other stories and then go to the social media platforms, sir.
Well, it seems, as insecurity is ravaging the country, the federal government now might be stopping any SIM card that is not linked, out as at the message coming out. Federal government to telecoms bar outgoing calls from any unlinked SIM card. The federal government has directed telecommunication companies MTN, Globalcom, Airtel, and Nine Mobile to bar all outgoing calls from unlinked subscriber identification modular card SIM card. Disclosing this in a statement signed by the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isaac Patami, federal government stated that its directive will take effect from today. So we hope most Nigerians have already linked that, because so many Nigerians are concerned. How come the terrorists are still able to communicate when the SIM card is meant to be linked, and that should be able to give them, that opportunity to trace it back as well. Let's now take one more and go straight to the, to the social media. I saw the video. It's not something I didn't see. The new international airport that was commissioned last week, there was a power outage right inside it, last week. So a lot of Nigerians are asking what went wrong with this new airport that should be working functionally, but it also seems, as usual, there's always, maybe somebody was not paid, their duty, and they decided to turn it off. But that new international airport went into darkness. The Federal Airport Authority has already apologized to that, and they're looking into that as well. You want me to come back on?
Allow me just a quick one. Sometimes I don't know whether the government I don't know whether the security expert on those who involved in this. Look, this SIM card linkage and the communication of terrorists and other thing. You see, we've got to a point where communicating between two people, even if the SIM cards are linked, they can go on without you knowing. Yeah. If you take WhatsApp calls, they are encrypted.
Yeah.
So if government is telling us today, for instance, that SIM card calls, people who are not registered, people can be registered, but you might not be able to get the calls. You see, focusing on the issue, they are diverting the attention that those who are communicating, or the terrorist communication, is actually coming from SIM cards that are not registered. If I'm communicating with WhatsApp, these are encrypted. If I'm communicating on what do you call it, Zoom, how are you going to know? If I'm communicating on other apps, Skype, how are you going to know? Are you getting me? So government should not be shifting the focus and blaming. This SIM cards that it's because people we sometimes just go for solutions that we think these are things that were possible before the advent of WhatsApp. If you tell me SIM cards, you can trace calls. Yes, today you can still trace calls, provided they are not using encrypted systems. Are you getting it? They are not using encrypted. So the same generals who thought that they could trace someone's calls in 2004, 2008, and go and arrest them are still in post today thinking that that same mentality. You see, when we get into, it's sad. And that's why sometimes one reason why old folks must not lead a young generation, because their brains are still the days gone by.
The dinosaur age, they are still there.
We call them the analog brains.
Analog, okay. Interesting. Listen to Starr Radio UK. With me in the studio, Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olayomi again on North London Studios. Let's go back to him for the rest of the story and what is happening on the social media.
Just take about three of communication that is happening presently right now on the social media. Quite a lot, but we're just going to stream it down. Reno Mokere says, you think that if a train was bombed in southeast Nigeria, Buhari would not have overwhelmed the region with troops with a question mark? Remember how troops overwhelmed Olu in Imo last year with helicopter gunshot? Why hasn't Buhari sent them to Kaduna? Because he's protecting the terrorists. Also, Simon Ekpa said the criminals in IPOP doors have lost control, relevance, and resources of the livelihood. Embrace one Nigeria through Soludo. Soludo is a new Anambra State governor that has also said that people should just go out their normal duty. But it looks like Anambra is already under lock and key again. As the Biafra is saying, no Nnamdi Kanu, nobody's going out on a Monday. Even the schools have now been transformed to Saturday schooling, rather than in Monday schooling as well, because nobody's going anywhere. Let's go straight and look at what David Odonye is saying this morning. I agree. MK Abiola, the coup financial, was a hero of democracy, the same way Murtala Muhammad, the genocider, was a founding father. If it is a debt that has sanitized and deodorized the stench surrounding these incredible men of Nigeria in the past. This is responding to Yaya Bello, says that I would transform Nigeria just as has transformed Kogi State. And a lot of people are looking at Kogi and asking where, because you haven't paid salary. So we're not sure how you want to transform Nigeria, or someone that has not even paid the civil servant, in the state. So I'm going to take one more, and then this is coming from Neferati. Nigeria is so badly misgoverned, yet infinity blessed. Few Nigerians build crude refinery in the Niger Republic, then 80% crude oil start to miss. So you just have to plot it. Niger Republic or Niger, their refinery started working, then all of a sudden about 80% of our own crude oil is missing. You just have to do the math. And the last one is coming, just like we're saying, whether you'll be able to do your name. If you're a diaspora, I have to go home. Dr. Dikpo Awojedi, Ogbeni Dikpo says, want to come to Nigeria for 2 weeks and do my name, voters card, phone registration, and everything else they're asking for. Can all this be done in 2 weeks without a long leg? Long leg means maybe you have somebody that will be able to do that for you without any hiccup. This is Star Radio UK. This is what we're going to be living in this morning. But like I said, continue to monitor and follow us with all the breaking news coming out of Star Radio UK. But you still have Frank and Archie to the rest of the program. Let me come back now to you in the studio. It's exactly 11:56 a.m. on the 4th, which is 2022. I'm going to take 2 or 3 comments from this part with our transmission. Oluwadebisi says, the end result of Nigeria military activities now is to have a referendum whereby people would decide what they want and create more opportunity for those that are asking for independence. Olatunja officer says, forget about the opposition, we don't have any at all. I did promise that we were going to play just about maybe 40 seconds of what Professor Banji Akintoye was saying yesterday. Let's listen to that during his interview yesterday.
Peoples of the Middle Belt as willing tools, and the peoples of the South as conquered territory, and never let them rule over us, and never let them control their own future. Those who are going around saying, making friends with the Fulani, we want restructuring and so on and so forth. They don't know what they're dealing with. When I came back from Nigeria, naturally.
So he was explaining that those that are playing and dealing are making friends with those that do not know who they are. And like Chief Tola Adeni says, in 1,000 years, you can't change the mindset of the Fulani. This is what we're going to be putting in this morning. But do not go anywhere, because Frank and Archie still have the rest of the segment to take you through with a phone line that will be opening, I believe, in the next couple of minutes.
Yes, yeah.
Olayomi, I'll remind me, let me give you some details on the issue of whether people can do their ID cards in the diaspora. I met a gentleman, in fact, I met a couple over the weekend who gave me some information. I think in the UK over here, there's an agency that help people doing that. Helping. So I'll pass you the details. There's a number that Nigerians can call, and I think they can get their this thing done for them over here. Yeah.
Okay, so that's some information for you. As we say, when you listen to us, we bring you all the necessary information that you need to get to better your life. Yomi, let me say thank you very much for that wonderful update. We catch up tomorrow.
Bye for now.
Right then. Bye. Well, listeners, that was Mr. Olayomi Koiki. It's now gone exactly just few seconds to 12 o'clock. So let me just take a quick break, and we'll open the lines and you join in, because exactly at 12:30 we'll be crossing over to Cyprus, where our HRH herself is there to address the issue. What happened with Will Smith? That was his first Oscar as a award or reward as somebody who is like what do you call it? at the pinnacle of his career, and then boom, something just happens. Now, what should he have done? Should he have controlled his anger? I mean, would you stand up for your wife and just go bashing people? And how do you get yourself out of such dandruff if you are finding yourself in such a situation? Should we be addressing that? Because we have the cancel culture that is also going on. The moment you do something, you know, though all the good deeds that you have done, now people start leaving them in water, and then your bad deeds, let's bring a brass and then put it there and hoist it high for people to see. Well, we'll be looking into all that in a moment when we have HRH Linda Palian joining us at 12:30. So let me announce the lines open. It's 0208 133 2257 or 58 0208 133 2257 or 58. You can also call us if you're in the US, the Caribbean, or the South American area, Canada, as well as 001718 3032737 001718 3032737. You can text on WhatsApp at 07539661744 07539661744. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com. Stay tuned, don't you go away.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. With me in the studio, Mr. Frank Davis. I'm Archie, and we are bringing you the rest of the morning show. As I said, or as Olayomi they say, yes, we'll be taking you to Cyprus as well. So make sure your dads are so logged on. Share your take with us, whatever it is. You come on, you make your statement. There you go. Someone else comes on, and then we continue that way. That will help everybody to be able to share what they think. Okay. So now let's quickly go to some of the stories making the rounds on the African continent still, and then we can come quickly to the UK front. Now, a panic response from Momo users disturbing. That is what an expert is saying. The General Secretary of the Mobile Money Agents Association of Ghana, Mr. Ivan Zotumfo, has said that the Ministry of Finance failed to engage them prior to the passage of the e-levy. Whatever went on for the government to get it through is something that is going on in the courts. I tell you that I'm not sure whether there's going to be anything different coming from there, because government has made up their mind that is the only way out for them. But we have another, a former trade minister by name Kunedu, who is saying that, look, MPP will pay a big price for this e-levy implementation. And I was looking at it and look, maybe in the past we've been taking money from these people. We've not been giving. We don't. I mean, use it judiciously. But this time around, knowing what we have done and virtually putting our hands down their throats, pulling their hearts out, maybe it will cause people to sit up and say, "Let's do something," so that it will be evident that this is what the money that they took from us has done, and maybe it will change the tide. Now, if you look at the whole passage of this e-levy, the reaction of people pulling their monies up, because they know come 1st of May, that means their money is going to be, I mean, any transaction they're going to be taxing you. So, how do you see the whole thing?
Actually, what I can say, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change, because the very lifestyle that basically has resulted in today's, nothing has changed about it. I mean, the president use of private jet continued. So I mean, he chartered he took a commercial flight, go to US. There was a private jet waiting for him. He flew that private jet to what do you call it, is in North Carolina, to TD Jake's place. I mean, at the end of the day, what benefits are we getting from there? But taxpayer is paying for that flight, right? He's going to raise money for his cathedral. That's
is that why he went?
Why do you think you go there to address that? It's a way to raise money from the congregation for his cathedral.
Okay, I was thinking that maybe what do you call him? TD Jakes is doing a program and he wanted him to come and speak.
Why would TD Jakes invite him to speak? Is he a pastor? Where did he say he's a pastor? Where there are bishops over there?
Well, someone will say, there are people who are what do you call it? They talk and people.
What did he talk about? What is it going to talk about? Just let everybody go and listen to what he says or he said at that venue. He's in London today, as we speak. Again, flew that private jet over here. So he demonstrated that I can use a private jet by going to Dubai. But I can tell you that was even a sham, because at the end of the day there was a private jet by what they call it, Magdan.
Yeah.
That went there. You see, so nothing has changed. When they came to make promises, we'll cut our salaries, but is it backed by law?
No.
Government should have sent a law to we're going to trim our salaries by this.
Yeah.
Was it backed?
No.
Has the president been given the power to determine salaries arbitrarily like that?
No.
Anything that the ministers are being paid is set up in law. Right?
Yeah.
It's set out in law. So if you're going to tell us that you're going to, it's voluntary contribution. Today my uncle is dead and I say I can't do the voluntary contribution. You have no law.
Yeah.
To take that money from me.
Yeah.
Whatever the council of state is being paid is backed by law. So when they say they are cutting their salary by 20%, it's voluntary. Did they tell us how long? For 1 year?
1 year or
and
6 months?
For 1 year? What is the sense in executive increasing his salary by 70% and coming to tell her they're reducing it by 30%? At the end of the day, 40% is kept.
Yeah.
What kind of calculation is that?
Now you cannot survive. They are saying that they cannot survive with whatever is given to them, and therefore have to increase it
by 70%. Actually, the bottom line, they increase their salary by 70%. Then they come to tell us that they're reducing it by 30% voluntarily, not by even through law. Right? That for me is like a con man that is acting on a stage just to win applause, applaudisse from the sitting congregation.
Yeah.
So for me, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. When was the last time you saw them not using V8?
Oh,
after that minister made that comment, when he came to make that comment, when Akufo-Addo was going to commission or whatever Tamale, how did he go? How many V8 did they use? Are you getting what I'm saying? When Bawumia was going to Kumasi on the 25th, when you went to commission a recommissioning or a recutting of salt for Kumasi Inner Road, what was done in 2009, redone again in 2022. How many V8s were on display? Are you getting? So basically, when it comes to lifestyle, nothing has changed, and the promises they made as part of cost cutting measures were almost linked to lifestyle. Why can't he announce that, look, our benefit culture now, or we're setting a law into parliament that our fuels coupons will be paid for? The law says that ministers are entitled to set fueling of their accounts. You come to tell her that they're going to cut their coupon by 30%. You don't set it up. You've not set it in law, and therefore nothing. If they decide not to do it,
you can't force anybody.
You can't force anybody.
There's nothing.
So for me, that is a gargantuan sham. It doesn't work for me.
Wow. Now let's come to
on the e-levy itself. Archie, they say when birds are learning to fly without perching, then hunters
will also learn to shoot them down.
We have found ways of withdrawing money from e-levy without paying. With your Momo account without paying, I'm going to share freely. Archie, if you want to send money, if I want my mom, if I have a Momo account, and I want my mom to withdraw money, note, if I send, let's say 200 Ghana to my mom, I'll be charged 1.5%. That 1.5% is £3, 3 Ghana cedis. When my mom is withdrawing she also be charged 1.3% payment. So do you think it's only one side?
I thought only one side.
No, that is a miscommunication that was wrong. It was clever, miscommunication. So for every transaction, both the sender and the receiver are charged. So I will be charged £3, 3 Ghana cedis to send. That is government tax, not talking about what the company is charging. And then when my mommy is withdrawing, again, government takes 3 Ghana cedis. So for that 200 Ghana, I need to pay
6.
I need to send mom. I need to transmit my total expenditure will be 206.
So that she can get her 200.
She can get her 200. That is if you want. So government will take 6 Ghana. But to avoid that, there's a simple way. If I have money in my Momo account, I can avoid those £6. All I need to do is tell my mom, go to a Momo vendor, and I tell her I want to withdraw cash.
Okay.
It's not electronic. I'm withdrawing cash. And all I have to do is I give my PIN number to my mom. The vendor plays put it, how much do I want to withdraw as cash? I want to withdraw 200 Ghana. A code automatically will be generated on my phone. Wherever I am, I confirm that code by authorizing it. And the cash is given to my mom. Simple. I'm gone.
Okay.
I'm gone. And that's what a lot of Ghanaians are going to be doing.
Let's say those of us in the diaspora who normally remit money home, so we have to get also have to get a Momo account.
You see, the other thing is that those of us in the diaspora don't get charged the sender's fee.
Yeah.
The sender's 1.5% because they have no way of charging that.
Okay.
But when they go withdrawing it,
then that's when.
So what do? You find someone who is knowledgeable enough, send it to the account, and they get it withdrawn by cash.
Oh my!
And they're going to withdraw by cash because if I'm going to send it, transaction fee, that's why you're charging me. Okay, I withdraw by cash. If the fees you pay will be less than sending it to another person,
of course,
we're gonna. I preclude to affect them. It will be a travesty of what a justice if Ghanaians do not show their displeasure.
I don't honestly, I've gotten to a point. I was speaking to somebody, not sorry cutting you. I said I've gotten to a point where I've lost hope, and I don't think Ghanaians are also don't
be like David Cruce.
I told the person, was it yesterday after church? I said, no, I've lost hope. I've given up. I don't think any good thing can come out from.
The verdict one is NDC has promised that when it comes to power within 100 days. They will cancel the e-levy. What I want them to do, I want Ghanaians to do, is to demand a written confirmation from NDC as a party and whoever leads them as they say, a social contract that if you don't do this, we reserve the right to demonstrate until you leave office. Are you getting me? And then let them go to the polls, let MPP be voted out completely. Let them reduce the MP's number to about 50 and then let's wait. If NDC doesn't do that in 100 days, I will support any demonstration 24/7 until they leave office.
Okay, if they will do that.
Actually, we need to get to a point where leaders must be accountable to people. It doesn't matter whichever political party they come with, because at the end of the day, look, I was telling an MPP friend of mine, he said, look, I heard another, I was teasing him that I heard another law had been signed. That is exemption of MPP members from e-levy. That all MPP members are supposed to, all you need to do when you are doing Momo, give your MPP ID number and you'll be exempted. And he was laughing. He said, Charlie, because actually it is serious. It is so they keep on citing, you see, they keep on citing coronavirus Ukraine. You're talking of accountability. Your question was based on whether now people are going to be accountable. That's what they promised, but nothing is going to change. They could have demonstrated that with the COVID money. When Parliament, the Ghanaians were demanding accountability, if government intend to be accountable to people, they could have at least demonstrated that, look, we had this amount from as a windfall from the COVID. This is how we spend it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Bring the documents. Show Parliament is with the House of Representatives. Yeah. The government is refusing to be accounted to account for that. There was even a point that they lied to us. They gave them 430 million. They told us that they gave them only 100 million. There's a government machinery that is lying. There have been questions about 52 million that was withdrawn from Ghana Commercial Bank, the taxpayers' money, and we don't know where it is. Government is not answering questions. And if anyone thinks that the passage of e-levy is going to change anything, this is a group of people who know that their end is less than 1,000 days. Power comes, but actually they have less than 990 days to leave power. What do you think they're going to do?
Now let me ask you, assuming we have the opposition NDC coming to power.
Yeah.
Now if they decided to stop the
e-levy,
yeah, what other alternative do they have? Because like you were saying, we did talk about contracts that have been signed, oil, this, and virtually whatever we are getting cannot go round us. I mean, it's not enough. So this is something that has come, and maybe at the time people, I mean, you know, people in our part of the world, people cry, they make noise, the money after some time, people get used to the system, and then we get on with it. If they come to just truncate it, what are they going to do? How
actually, the first thing I think they should do, one, the e-levy we are told that is going to generate about 6.9 billion. I'm even this the guy what they call the minister is conceding that they're not going to get that one. In fact, their projections are not going to get there. Now the first thing they should do, in my view, the foot soldier recruitment, the industry is an industry that we appoint people just because they supported us. I think it should be stopped. The presidency alone can save about 2 billion. The presidency alone, because the budget for the presidency alone, as we speak, is 3.5 billion. That is more than 50.
They say that they are giving employment to people.
Which employment to people? What are they doing? Show their productivity. That is staff at the presidency, and these are political errand boys and girls mostly. Right? The staff population this year was increased from 1,600 to 2,100. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So these are political errand boys. Ministries, why do we need ministers? Why do we need 2 or 3 deputies? Why do we have a director of Keta Defense, a Keta C project which does not exist? So straight on, expenditures that can be brought down without it affecting the ordinary people.
Okay.
Why is it any government, a new government? I'll be disappointed if NDC gets to power today and the first line of action is to order new vehicles for the ministers. From that day, Ghanaians should start criticizing them and hitting them and lambasting them, because there's no need. There's no need at all. There's no need at all. So actually, there's certain expenditures that we can curtail.
Okay.
They don't need immediate action can result in at least saving more than 50% of what we are getting from
the e-levy.
e-levy. So that's the step number 1. Step number 2, actually, we need to look at restructuring our debt. It's very, very important, because the interest rate we pay is too much.
Yeah.
We pay so much.
The finance minister is calling for the lenders to, do something about the interest
after e-levy.
Yeah.
But we thought e-levy is a panacea for everything.
No, they saw that the money that is going to come from the e-levy will not be able to.
A typical example of a greedy, African. You told us you don't go to lenders and IMF, but what you doing? E-levy. Now you finish achieving your e-levy, you now taking this is not enough.
Yeah.
You now want the lenders. Actually, you see, our domestic borrowing is also a very, very big problem. Because as we speak now, if you're a businessman and you go to a Ghanaian bank, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get money, because you've been crowded out by the government. The government has absorbed every available liquid, because that they don't need sovereign, they don't need approval of parliament. All they do is treasury bill. They continue to issue bonds within the domestic market, where they don't need to go to parliament for approval. And that's exactly what they've done over the years. So our environment banking sector now is taken over by the government. In fact, analysis shows that about 55 to 60% of all liquidity available last year was mopped up by government.
Wow.
It went to government.
Wow.
It went to government. Now, interest rate on our local bank from our local banks can go up to about 20, 30, even to some extent 40%. Government is picking up some of those coupons 17.5, 20, 25%. Okay, can we restructure that debt? Because I remember there was an issue that we dealt with, which was STC, but then Prudential Bank lent money to STC during President Kufuor's time around 2007, 2008 to go and buy Hunter buses. Swan Lake or whatever that transport was involved in that. Actually, as of 2009, the interest rate on that debt was about 31%. So a debt that started around what they call it was around 8 million. By the time they left office, it's gone to $12 million. Right? By the time it was paid off, it's gone to $31 million. Okay? Now, there was an option on the table. Again, those who were in power, the NDC men who were in power, they didn't want to because of their interest. Because there was a restructuring proposal that was on the table to bring that debt level from that 31% to 7%.
Wow.
Sell all those Hunton buses, because at that time STC had only about they had about 8 buses. Money that was coming from Togo, nobody can trace it. Ouagadougou, no one can trace it.
Wow.
Actually, I'm telling you, because I mean, first hand, I was involved.
Yeah, I remember that when you were trying to do something for the
I was involved. You couldn't assess those things. And this an NDC government that you had people, the former Commander Ativo, Major Ativo, was the managing director of that. So they refuse, because why? The interest over there was that someone who lent that money to STC.
Yeah,
they were interested in taking over the landed assets of STC, which involve all the bus terminals across the country.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. So sometimes the money is lent not because they wanted to take all the landed assets, the lands, and that was the target.
And they would sell it, they'll make big money.
That was the target. So they took STC to court, and they did a restructuring where Prudential Bank lent them money again. And actually, if they have accepted that proposal, thank God, wisdom came in. They didn't accept because Mahabade stepped in. But now all STC terminals would have been gone.
Wow. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Let me say thank you very much to Mr. Frank Davis. It's gone 12:23. I've got Mr. Kofi Ali on, but before that, Mr. Alhaj Bashir Abdul Salam Charambadi. Yes, good afternoon to you. I hope you are doing very well. Had a very nice weekend as well. But let's go to Kofi. Hello, Kofi. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, doing very, very well. And you?
I'm fine. And my brother Frank, how are you?
I'm doing very well.
Yes. I've heard so much this morning, as we do every day. And indeed, when the conversation is going on, some of us sit back and say, exactly what are we talking about? This one has done this. Let's save money. Let's throw money. Let's borrow money. Let's do this. In economics, we call it the theory of economics. In other words, we are doing the theory of economics and therefore the theory of politics. What exactly do we want? Archie, exactly what do we want? What do we all want? I want you to tell me what you think we want.
What I want? I want
you. We want better quality of life. That's all for our people. That's it.
Yeah.
How do we get this better quality of life, sir?
By putting in place policies and actions that will help improve our conditions of lives. That's it.
Good. So so we put policies in place to do what? To help ameliorate the condition of life. I think that's what you just said.
Yeah.
Pushing the condition of life. So the policy in place, what exactly is going to kind of change the condition of life to make it better?
Depending on the policies you put in place and the actions that are taken thereafter.
Good. Now let me tell you what I know. We talk about development. Development. What are we developing exactly? What do we want to develop?
We want to improve the quality of life of a people.
To improve the quality. If you don't develop, if you are not aiming at developing something, you can't improve the quality of life.
Kofi, that depends on how you're looking at it. It depends on what definition you agree to. To go with when it comes to development.
Be patient with me. Be patient with me. You want to develop something, isn't it? You want to improve the quality of life of something. With that thing, you are improving the quality of life. With that thing, is that thing a human being, or is a tree, or is a rock?
Okay, Kofi, this is it. The quality of life of people can be measured in various ways. If I want to get to a hospital and I can't get access to it, if I want to travel from one point to another and I have to bathe myself in dust, if I have to look for food and I can't get food, if I have to drink dirty water, if I cannot study because my lights are off, it is impacting on my life. All right, if you can put policies in place, take measures that improve that, you are improving the people quality of life. So talking about development, you cannot define development as in isolation if you do not link it to high impact on the people.
Now let me come in. You see, what you are saying is like there is separation between state, government, and people. That's exactly what you are trying
I've
to
never said that. I've never said that.
Be patient with me. Be patient with me. When we talk about the direction of policy, the policy is formulated and directed at the people. It's the people who will build the houses, the people will do the farming, the people will build the roads, the people will do everything by their level of development. What the state is doing, with the state is just an abstract, which is the authority of the state, is trying to create the enabling environment for the people to develop, because it's the people that build the road, they farm.
That's not entirely correct, Kofi.
Be patient.
Okay.
What the state do is to, when they are producing, you collect the tax. Remember, they are doing the production, you collect the tax, and you are using the tax to look at where they have problems, and you are putting those things ahead of them so that they will be able to change their own way of life.
Kofi, again, that's not entirely correct.
Are you sure? My brother, I didn't call for us to argue.
No, because you were asking questions. You were
no.
Okay, should we stay back now?
Why I was throwing those questions.
Okay, all right, then go ahead and do your submission.
Go ahead and do the submission. You've got only 2 minutes. Linda is going to
go ahead and do your submission.
Go on.
The reason why I'm throwing the question, I've been following the line of arguments all along. And I could see disjoint in isolated government that now is busy collecting money from the people who are underdeveloped. And we are talking about quality of life of the people as if some god somewhere will come and change the quality of the life of the people. Whereas economists know that if you do economics to a certain level, you realize that it's all about the people. The people changing their own destiny. Whatever we want, without the people. Hello?
Yes, we are listening to you. Go on.
Without the people, they can't be a country. Without the people, they can't be government. Without people, they can't be tax. Without people, they can't be development. So if we are now having people who are 99% dependent on imported, everything imported, we are even being told there is a windfall from somewhere from the sky. Now some money has been given to us and then everybody wants a share. Are we sleeping? What are we doing in our day? So you see, when you go to where they say people, the nation is developed, it's the people of that nation that are developed. They are the doctors, they are the engineers. If you are even borrowing money, you borrow it from the people. We are talking about borrowing, it's from the people. Unless you go to foreign nations who get the money from their own people and give it to you as a government on behalf of your people. So it comes back to the people. Now when we have people who are not ready to change their mindset, like Asian people trapped in one way, tunnel vision. Every day the same story. My brother will come from Nigeria, this one will come from Ghana. Then when you sit down, then your head will be paining you that what are we really talking about? It's
because almost every day there's bombing in Nigeria. Almost every day there's suicide. Almost every day our brothers are being killed.
Go and check. You see that the problem was there because before my grandfather was born.
Yeah, Kofi, I understand that, but the fact is that if, for instance, someone is reporting from Nigeria, they cannot report an abstract.
Yeah.
They have to report. Look, this is a current affairs program.
Yeah.
What are the current affairs? What are happening currently? The happenings currently is what they're gonna talk about. So, if there has been train bombing yesterday, today, tomorrow, it doesn't mean because there were train bombing 4 days ago.
We don't have to touch that.
No, that is totally wrong.
Yeah, let me come in quickly.
No, we have to go so quickly. Just give me just 1 minute.
Behind what you see today. So we are talking about today. Technically, we are talking about yesterday, so that we can address the issue of today for tomorrow to be better. That is why we talk.
I mean,
unless we have a different reason for talking.
No, current affairs is different from a historical analysis of events. Kofi.
Anyone who comes to make a submission, a political submission, economic submission, they are talking about something that happened today because of what happened yesterday.
Not entirely.
That informing us of what is likely to happen in the future if we don't learn from history.
Correct.
So if you look at it, if we have been talking about the same thing all over again, then there is a problem with us.
Okay.
You know, I am not criticizing anyone. Everyone have a right to do their to talk. Everyone know their own unique circumstances. They know their environment. Who am I to judge anyone? But I am saying that let us step back sometimes a little bit, address exactly what we want to address.
Okay.
We are talking about human development.
Yeah.
That is what you talk about development. If you have people who are still carrying things on their head, what kind of development is
that? But Kofi be guided. Someone in what they call Lagos today, a graduate who has graduated from probably University of Abuja today. Their needs as of yesterday probably is unemployment. Today is food. Tomorrow is all revolves around the 5 basic needs that they want.
No,
basically, essentially, and therefore, whichever way you look at it, those things, whether you're taking it from water, you're taking it from food, you're taking a lack of land, you're taking a lack of transport, lack of job opportunity, boils down to one thing: the stomach economics.
Okay, gentlemen, gentlemen, thank you. I need to leave it. You have to leave it there. We can discuss. Yeah, we can discuss that tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Tomorrow we will do the same thing. I'll come on and talk about the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kofi Ali.
Somebody just graduated from university. Don't forget.
Thank you.
Where we stop.
Well, tomorrow is going to be another day. If there's another current issue that is going on, I'll be bringing that your way. But it is now gone 12:33. As I said, 12:30 we have our Career 101 on, and we have our own HRH Linda Palian who are joining us all the way from Cyprus. Well, events that happened last week on the on a international stage. Yes. And we have one of us. So when I say one of us, I'm talking about a black person. Where we are of late, we've been calling for Black Lives Matters and everything that we should be given opportunities to do so. But when it gets to a point where we are about to get the opportunity, and then I don't know whether it is some sort of hours or something, we just go out and then destroy the same thing that we're trying to get, then we have a problem. But this afternoon, I've got HRH Linda Palian in the house who's going to be addressing that. And let me say, Linda, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Archie. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank God you are doing well. I can see from your face after all that resting that you are doing good.
I'm doing fantastic. Thank
you. Great. Okay. Yes, let's quickly go on our discussion today. Now we have the issue that took place last week on the Oscars, the 94th edition of the Oscars, and then we have people who are criticizing the move by Will Smith because they say that, well, you cannot just go around just hitting people because they have done or said something against you. There are legal means that should be used. Now we are the same people who also talk about the fact that we need to blacks should be given the opportunity to shine, because we think that at times we have the glass ceiling that is not making us go beyond that. But when we are given that opportunity and at the verge of getting that recognition, we go on just doing misbehaving. How does it actually go for us in the future? So we're going to be looking at that. So let me leave the ball to your court. What did you see? What information do you have pertaining to everything that happened?
I mean, I think as you said it perfectly. It was a shocking event for all of us, you know, and especially for the black community, given the fact that it was going to be the first time he'd received an Oscar, Will Smith. I mean, and it's literally when we're making progress, moving the conversations forward. So I think that was a big blow to the community. And whether you believe it was right or wrong, it still had a great impact on himself and his career, but also on the black community. You know, if anything, it perpetuated the stereotypes of the angry black person, you know, the angry black woman, man, the violence, you know, that people worked so hard to try and dispel these stereotypes. So to see it acted on an international stage, that was very disappointing, in my opinion. And talking about Will Smith's career as well, I mean, he's enjoyed a long career of a long and successful career, and it's very hard, especially in Hollywood, to have that combination of being respected for what you do without a lot of drama surrounding you. So I don't know if that was to sort of create some drama, because we found out later that he was tired of being typecast and actually asked to play a bad guy in the movie. So I don't know if that again was a stunt. There's been so many theories about whether it was a stunt or not, but definitely I don't think that helped his career going forward. And of course, like, there's been some sort of reparations which we'll come and talk to, but in terms of the consequences of the action, his career will certainly suffer, because now anybody that works with him will be seen to be condoning the violence. Yeah. Even though they've come out and said that, you know, actions speak louder than words. So whether they want to or not, they're going to have to sort of take some measures, at least short term, to make sure that they're not seen as supporting violence. It also perpetuates his wife being helpless, you know, and not being able to stand up for herself, as she needed her husband to do that. And again, that didn't help the conversation with empowering women as well, you know. And in light of everything he could have said, it seemed like a fairly harmless. Don't come for me.
yeah, I'm not coming for you.
I'm talking about listeners.
Yeah.
So it was embarrassing.
Okay.
After he was watching, long-time fans of the show, the sponsors, everything.
Well, listeners, HRH Linda Pali all the way in Cyprus, this afternoon coming your way live, bringing you Career 101. Now, if you have suffered something of that sort, what happened to Will Smith, and then you were at the pinnacle of your career where you're going to be awarded the greatest award ever, and then suddenly, boom, you come tumbling down. How do you get yourself out of that? Because most of us find ourselves in such situations, and therefore when we were there, or when everything was happening, and then maybe a statement that you make, a speech that you make, or maybe something from the past just comes up, and then boom, everything is gone. Now, first of all, do you think Will Smith has a way back to where he was? First of all,
absolutely, I think so. You know, the flip side of this, which is the pro, and we've spoken about this on Career One, to stand strongly for something or against something, and I don't condone the way it was done, but it was very effective in standing strongly against not being disrespected or protecting his family, which a lot of people applauded. You know, to be able to be so convicted or to be so convinced of your values, to stand strong to your values, that you act in that way, shows a man of character. And if anybody aligns with those values, of course they're going to go, this is somebody I know will stand up for what we believe. So he'll definitely attract a tribe even more so than ever. And in terms of his career, he'll attract people that want to portray that sort of stuff, want to stand by someone who holds family values or so dearly, whatever spin they put on it. But definitely I think his career will survive it. And of course he's done his apology tour and his resignations, which again, I think Hollywood has this sort of fake aura around it, which I personally don't like. So he resigned from the academy.
Yeah.
Because in his words, his actions were inexcusable and painful and shameful, whatever. All that means is that he doesn't get DVDs or he doesn't get children releases. But I mean, it wasn't for me. I don't think it's enough.
You think
it sounds like, oh wow, I've resigned. But I mean, when in England, if our Prime Minister does something or an MP does, we're calling for them to resign. They actually lose significantly.
Yeah.
But just to resign from being a part of a group, which I don't think it significantly impacts his career enough to be worth anything. But it sounds good.
well, it sounds good. Well, with that action that he's taking at the moment. But let me ask you one other question. Will you just now turn your telly on, watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Because, I mean, or are you going to say, no, because of what he's done, I don't support him and therefore I'm not going to be watching that? The new movie, what's the name? Is it King what? What's the name? King Richard. Are you going to watch it? Are you going to the movies to go and watch that? Are you going to do anything, or it's gone?
I think I still would. I mean, unfortunately, boycotting his films or the Fresh Prince doesn't punish him directly, or doesn't impact. I mean, there's the producers that spend that much, the investors in the film, and that's just to. I understand why cancel culture would do that, and yes, it would affect him and probably get him kicked off future roles. But for stuff that has already been done in the past, and the guy's a great actor, you can't dispute that talent. And we all make mistakes, you know. I just think if you're going to make a mistake, you could, and you're going to regret it, then do it properly.
Do it properly. Slap with both hands, pum, and they say yes, that's good.
I mean, I think that his apology he has issued and Facebook was a step in the right direction straight after when he apologized to Chris Rock, because at the Oscars when he got the award, he didn't apologize to Chris Rock, which I thought just made everything worse. If you're going to apologize and show remorse, then do it properly. But this whole crafty speech, and I think it was Denzel Washington that said to him, at the height of your career, the devil comes for you. Something
I saw that quote.
And it's so true. All of us. And it has there's something called self-sabotage, right? If you don't tune your mindset to be strong or to stay happy.
Okay, Linda, I think your audio seems to be playing up a bit. There are some portions that we cannot hear you very well, but let's see whether it's rectified now. Yes, go on, let's see.
I seem to be getting some interference.
Okay, it's better now. I can hear you now. It's loud and clear. Yeah. So go on, please. Yeah.
So that happens to the best of us, you know. We tend to engage in self-sabotaging behavior because for some reason our mindset doesn't allow us to be happy for ourselves without working on it. It's a conscious decision you have to make. So if you leave it to your subconscious, you would always find that, when somebody's career is going well and they suddenly like lose their wife because they neglected them, or they win the lottery and then they do something else. We do that anyway. That's a normal phenomenon. So it's up to us to really understand that can happen and be strong enough to do that. And if these happen, learn from it and move forward. But again, with this thing, this is why I think his career will survive, because he's going to do his apology tour and probably donate some money and all of this stuff. And for the pros of this, it raised awareness for alopecia, which is a really important conversation to be had, especially about black women and their hair.
Interesting.
Wide, because cancer patients also go through that, or anyone that does chemotherapy and loses their hair. So I think, and if anything, positively raise conversations about that. But it's now moving forward, how we move from it and do a genuine sort of learning from the experience rather than the curated apologies that we're seeing.
Well, listeners, Star Radio UK, Career 101 with HRH Linda Pallion. This afternoon, looking at the consequences of Will Smith's action. How do you bounce back from a career fall? Let's go back to. During that the ceremony, if you were there, you were his call it his cheerleader. Okay. What advice would you have given him before he mounted the stage to go and receive that reward? What advice would you have given him?
Absolutely. I think that violence is never the answer, and that is something I stand strongly against, which is why I guess his actions really affected me. I think the first night I saw it, I couldn't sleep. I was so disappointed and hurt by that, because I just felt, well, thanks. It's when you look up to somebody and they let you down in such a big way. I think his words would have been enough without the actions of doing that. So I would have said, okay, it's take the mic and go, actually, this isn't funny, this is a serious disease, and I'd appreciate if you didn't do it. And it shows a lot to your character when you do that. But unfortunately, we're human beings and we make mistakes, and I get that. And he probably felt tough. Again, at that time. But kudos in all of this to Chris Rock for not reacting.
It would have been very, very disastrous there.
He was the real hero of the night to move on from that. And sidestep it, and afterwards even taking his words back and apologizing for the joke. I thought that was, but again, I stand with, said, who wants to be the next Will Smith? He completely opened the door for everyone to retaliate, or for comedians to be really scared about what jokes they make.
I was telling someone that if I'm a comedian, I think now when I'm going to mount a stage, the boxers, when they are doing their training, they have all this, the amateur, this and that they put on. I think I will get one because you might not know somebody come to whack your head.
Absolutely. And the biggest comedians of all time we value are the people that aren't afraid. To say it as is, or make the risque joke, to look at the bad. Chris Rock made his career doing that.
Oh yeah, of course.
I thought, again, it career-wise, I don't know what that means for Chris Rock. I saw that he had a show straight after, and everyone was asking him about that. And he had to he said, I had a script for the show, and now I have to address this whole thing because that's what everybody was talking about. But again, I think, if we're talking about the impact of career, we're waiting to see how it affects Chris Rock's career if he then dumps down his jokes to avoid further controversy, or if he stands true to what he believes in, and of course people respect him for that. So like in terms of advice for everyone in terms of your career, if you're going to go through something, go through it very, of course, if you can do it with your dignity, much better. Like if you can talk about it rather than take it back. You know, there's a lot of people that quit their job because there's been a clash or some sort of issue.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, you go around and hit your boss and quit, or you can write a resignation letter that doesn't burn bridges, just in case you need a reference. You know, and I think for this, I don't know if it depends if Hollywood decides to take such harsh stances against him. If we invite back, what it will cost him, what it means for Jada's Red Table Talk or his kids.
Yeah.
Passions of peace you cannot predict.
Yeah.
So I think from a career standpoint, if you could be a professional, go with that. And if you have to make a mistake, like we all, my early employment, there's something that is proud of for sure. But if you can have learned method and be better,
of course,
it just builds your character, makes you a better person.
Yeah.
And a discussion needs to be had. Sometimes a stern word, if a discussion isn't going in, sometimes you need to use a bit more harsher words or take a stronger stance. But very rarely should it result in violence.
Well, listeners, HRH Linda Pallian for you. Now, if you're coming from a PR point, what measures can be put in place to rescue someone's career? I mean, if the person has got their career in such a situation like right now, what PR measures would you suggest be put in place to salvage that?
You know, I think this is a great question. I think from a PR standpoint, and I know a lot of us don't have PR, but from your own standpoint as well, if you've done something, for example, you've been, I know a client of mine was fired for stealing money from the bank that she worked at, or whatever, own it. And in your next career, you can say, well, I did this under my circumstances, but this is what I've learned from it, and these are the reparations I've made. You know, so if you own it and you talk about it, like Will Smith is doing, you know, in terms of, I take responsibility for my actions, I shouldn't have done that, I've learned from it, I apologize about the impact that they had, I recognize it, and I apologize about it, and I want to be better, and I want to move forward. And I think any employer would really appreciate that, and of course I think that's what Will Smith's fans appreciate, that he's actually doing that, you know. So the PR angle to take would be to own it, but you can do one of two things. You can either stand by it, and then you're like, Mama, the people that love you, the people that hate you.
Yeah.
Or you can take responsibility for it and apologize for it, but you can't do both.
Okay.
You can't go, I love my family and I needed to protect my family, but I'm sorry. You know, that weakens the argument. So for all of us in our careers, if you've done something in the office that has had consequences, or maybe you lost your temper with a customer, or you made a big mistake, or you stole, or what, because human beings have error, just owning that, learning from it, and making a conscious effort to do better, or repair some of the damage that's been done, whether you work for free to pay for it, or you donate to charity as a result of that, or you become an advocate, whatever it is that feels genuine and authentic to you to do, that will go a long way of earning you people's respect and proving that you're really remorseful for it rather than just words.
Okay.
And I think any employer will see favorably on that.
Now, again, when it comes to, temper, some people are quick-tempered and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to a career, is there a way to help people to calm down in the face of such situation? Do you have things in place like that people can go to? Because, you know, at times some people, they say, oh, the person has checked into a rehabilitation center for that. Is there anything sort of I am quick tempered? Let me check myself into one rehabilitation center to calm me down. Then I come back after 2 weeks, and then maybe I still go on slapping people all the way through to wherever. I mean, how is there a way, another way, or something of that sort?
This is a great question. In the workplace, there's several ways of dealing with things, because again, if you find yourself being constantly disrespected, one day you might explode. And even people with the mildest tempers sometimes get pushed too far.
Yeah.
What you can do is excuse yourself. Again, using your words, I need to take some time off to deal with the situation, so I'm not coming in. You can be assertive in that way and say, I'm not coming in because of this. And if they want to fire you then because of that, that's a different conversation. But at least you have a leg to stand on when it comes to HR or trade unions. You can go to your trade unions and discuss. You can go to your human resource personnel and discuss how you're feeling. More recently and probably more modern, I found, is people on Reddit anonymously asking. there's a thread that says, "Am I the a-hole?" And you sort of like get other people's feedback on, well, this happened, I did this, and this is how I felt, but this is whatever, and other people will give you a sort of their opinions, but you can gather a poll, like obviously doing that anonymously rather than blast your work on there, but you can gather a forum if you can't afford therapy or you don't have anyone to talk to. And most of us go to our families, but then our families can be biased. But if you have a forum where you can say objectively what happened and get input on what to do, sometimes that helps. And seeing other people's perspective, you think, oh, maybe that's what they were thinking, or maybe I got it wrong, and then you can act that way. But definitely, if you need to take yourself out of the situation, don't be intimidated by your boss. Don't be intimidated by having to sit at your desk and take the abuse. Get up and say, I need to take some time out, and then I want to have a meeting and talk about it. Again, I think communication is becoming more and more of a lost skill. The more we progress, at first it was easy for us to pick up the phone. We didn't have any caller ID, and you just spoke. And now most people won't pick up the phone if they don't know who it is, because they have this anxiety of talking on the phone, and it's getting worse and worse, that we can't even express our feelings without this irrational fear of how the other person is going to behave. But I mean, we evolved as a species to communicate for that exact reason, because we haven't developed our telepathic abilities yet. So it's important that if you don't know how to communicate, or if you're scared of it, practicing it or getting someone with you. Sometimes you can go into a meeting with your friend as a moral support, if that helps. They don't have to say anything, but even with disciplinary meetings, you can always ask to have a support person there. So use those channels to communicate before it escalates into something you don't want to happen, and something that could follow you for ages. People get chastised for something they did years ago, and they can't take it back. Forever get known as the person who did this. I mean, Britney Spears, 20 years ago, when she shaved her hair with her baby, we still all have that image in our head. There's some things don't go away, regardless of how much growing up you've done. So if you can avoid making a scene, then do.
Okay, that's a good one there. Listeners, HRH Linda Palian all the way from Cyprus, Career 101. How to bounce back from a Career 4? Well, she's talked a lot, but I'm going to go back to her for her to, just run up what we've discussed, and then maybe if there are any pointers as well, she'll put it across for you. So if you are listening to us and you find yourself in any of these challenges at the moment, please listen to her very closely. Over to you, Linda.
Awesome. I was reading this where someone put on their post that people have forgiven Will Smith and shared this whole thing, and they haven't forgiven their parents or their siblings that did something years ago, but they forgave him stuff. It's an apology. We need to put this in perspective. I think this story has been blown out of proportion, and whether it was made so deliberately so that the Oscars get, I mean, nobody would have known that it's happened realistically because no one was invited to it, no one that we know. But we need to put it back into perspective. I mean, at the end of the day, our role models are all human and they make mistakes. So being able to understand that and being able to move past that and understand it for ourselves too, that we all will make mistakes at some point, and we'll do actions that we probably will regret in the future. But being able to learn from that and move it on and accepting that as part of life is really important, especially when you do that in your career. Apologizing for that and bouncing back. I mean, from a psychology perspective, I remember this when I was learning psychology, that we tend to hold on to these embarrassments a lot longer than the public do. And the longer you hold on to it, the more you remind people of it. You know, if you say, oh, well, I'm sorry that happened. Yeah, that happened. I've moved on now. You know, people tend to move on. But if you keep that and it stops you applying for your new job or it stops you going to a meeting because they might recognize me for, I don't know, this embarrassing thing I did before, or I was that girl on this viral TikTok, or whatever it is, you know, we have to forgive ourselves and move forward quickly with these things. And if any of these happen in your career, it's worth saying, it was just a career for me, why did I do this, and get into the root cause of the issue. And to round it up, I had a point, I've forgotten. Yeah, to round it up, these things happen. Violence is never the answer. And also, especially for the Black community, sometimes we have the pressure to represent a whole race and that whole generation and all the way to slaves, and you know, and it's an undue pressure that we put on ourselves. At the end of the day, Will Smith is one person, one man with a family just like you and me, who cares about things, who can get emotional, you know. So we have to forgive them for that, you know, and not put the whole burden of the race on them, because I think, again, these things remind us that they're all human, just like we are. And if we can forgive them, we can forgive ourselves as well. So yes, you will make mistakes, and embrace it and move on. And yeah, definitely no violence, no bullying,
no violence.
Talk about it.
Okay, it stopped me from asking my last question that I wanted to ask you. It was quite a personal one, but I'll stop. I won't ask that any longer. Can we talk about the book, please? The books, yes.
All right. I would have answered.
I will. You after the books, I will.
Okay. So if you're looking to change careers, if you're looking to build your career further, if you're looking to bounce back from a negative event that has happened in your career, whether you've done something that you got fired for, whether you've done something that you find so disgraceful that you can't face yourself at work, whether you started a business and failed, whatever it is, these books are here to help you. The first book is called How to Career, and it helps you to take a stock of what's going on in your career. It's a checklist of 6 points. Does this work for me? Is it really for me? How can I make money doing it? And it's an easy read to be able to guide you in the right career, whether you're changing or starting. The second book is Career Success. And these are all available on Amazon and on your online portals. Career Success is how to build up a career, build a legacy to get to a next promotion or pay rise, or to build a name for yourself. You know, we were talking about integrity and values. This book really helps you to hone in that, so that you have an indisputable personality in terms of your professionalism and your career that will follow you. And even when you do something shocking like Will Smith did, people can understand because it's part of your core values that you do X, Y, Z. And then of course the third one is the Career Success Workbook, and the Ultimate Career Workbook. And this book is a work for you to go and identify what stage of your career you're at, what you need to do to get to the next stage, what you've done. Maybe remind yourselves of some of the things, the achievements that you've had, or some of the transferable skills that you can use into your next career if you're trying to career change. It's a great resource for you. So there's 3 books available on Amazon, Book Depository, Waterstones UK, or worldwide online. Nielsen, definitely the career books by Linda Pallian. Search them on Google and you'll come up with them, along with great reviews about them. It's definitely worth it. They're only €20 about thereof. There's usually an offer on them, so definitely go check it out.
Okay, listeners, Star Radio UK, HRH Linda Pallian on Career 101, and today we've looked at how to bounce back from a career fall. Okay, but before we go, I told her I was going to ask her a question. Now, assuming okay, let me put it this: at what point would you think that Mr. Pallian will stand up for you and you feel, okay, that is good, thumbs up? Because when somebody's mocking you, then I think, no, this shouldn't go on. I mean, you want to do something. At what point would you say, yeah, that's cool? At what point would you say, as a lady, at what point would you say that?
Yes, I mean, I think I would definitely want my husband to stand up for me if someone was mocking me. But I'd expect my husband to know that I don't condone violence.
Okay.
And actually, I think in my past relationship, this happened a lot, because for me, violence is just I cannot see.
No.
I can't see like being angry and punching stuff. So if you're going to do that and you're not using your word, unless somebody attacked you first and you were being defensive, that's completely a separate thing. But to start with violence, I think you would have made it worse. You know how an argument starts over one thing and it gets worse and by something else. The action would overshadow it. In Jada's shoes, for me, I would be mortified about and embarrassed about how my husband's behaved. That would completely overshadow the joke. For me, I think I would have done it. Why did you do that? You know, that would be my initial view. I think but appropriate in a way that
wow. Let me say thank you very much for that wonderful submission.
Would you do that for your wife, Archie?
I'm a very calm guy. I'm not scream at the person, but to go to that extent, no. I try to cool down because I like to reflect a lot before I take any action, because I'm thinking that every action that I take has got equal and opposite reactions. So what is going to be the reaction from that? So I take those things in consideration before I launch any attack. So
can you imagine if they started push rock and hit him back and they started fighting? That would be
anyway. Okay, Linda. So thank you once again for joining us this afternoon as well, and have a lovely day, and we'll catch up later.
With pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, bye for now. Well, listeners, that has been HRH Linda Pali, and I hope that this day you enjoy the program and whatever things that we discuss as well, and it's going to help your career when it comes to how to the actions that you have to take at a particular time when you are so angry, or what term do we there's another term that we use, I'm trying to get that, livid with rage. What would you do? How far will you go? Well, and if that has affected your career, how far would you go on that front as well? But whatever it is, go to our social media platform or our podcast session, and all the discussions that we've had on career are all there. It will help you a great deal. And on that note, let me say thank you very much, Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olami Koiki, Kojodi, Felix, and every one of you who tuned in today to listen to us. It's been a pleasure coming your way. It's been me, Archie, saying bye-bye for now. But let me bring you this song. Don't worry, be happy. Everything's going to be all right. Some way, somehow they do. I don't know how. But have a lovely day. I'll come your way tomorrow. And this afternoon is at 5 o'clock. Empress Regina will be coming your way with the On Point. And then at 10 o'clock, we'll be bringing you the Conscious Reggae Time with the one and only Dave West as well. But this afternoon, lots of music coming your way as well. Have a top of the day. Bye-bye for now.
This is Starr Radio UK. In your car, at home.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Thanks for listening.